Jessica.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance Games featuring League of Legends, co-presented by Globe, of course, dubbed by the community as the UAAP of Esports. Alliance student clubs from all across the Philippines are hashtag AllG to compete in multiple esports title and represent their campus. My name is Adam, and I am, of course, joined by the amazing Hyron, and we'll be your shoutcasters for today.
Yeah, and of course, you're amazing too, Matt Datum, as well. And of course, the Alliance Games playoffs are a double elimination bracket featuring the top 8 teams from the play in. So it's going to be a cutthroat best of one for the first 2 days or for this week and then the next week. And then we're transitioning to best of threes for the losers bracket finals as well as the winners bracket semi-finals, I guess you could say it. And of course, all the winners of this 4 weeks will have the opportunity to compete live at Conquest 2022 on July 23 for League of Legends. And we have a lot of all our Alliance orgs. Well, not all of them. A lot of them got eliminated during play-ins. A lot of familiar faces got eliminated, like LG.
Yeah.
The champions from NCO Season 3 League of Legends were eliminated in the play-ins as well. That's how cutthroat this new format is. Meanwhile, you have like NU Paradigm Esports as well with their Verendus roster. Oblation Esports back at it again. Of course, TUP-M, Gearhawks, Monstrum, Prodigium is going to be coming up against the Mapua Gaming Society Mages. So many exciting matches here, and it's going to be fast-paced for like the first 2 weeks. We settle into best of threes, then week 3 and week 4, and then finally we'll be all waiting for the Conquest Grand Finals. Of course, PUP Pylon, Ypsilos, UST Teletigers Haze. A lot of these, like of course, are Alliance orgs, part of the Alliance. They have built up that infrastructure for their community for collegiate esports, and it's so good to see them here competing.
Yeah, I love it. We've already had such an action-packed
Hmm.
playing stage here, Hiron. Like you mentioned, we won't be seeing LG Hydra this time
Hmm.
in the playoffs. And another surprise is Viridis Arcus won't be here either.
Hmm.
So that's two heavy hitters
Hmm.
that's already taken
Hmm.
down so early on in the competition, and that paved the way for some returning faces here. As you said, Oblation Esports is one of those teams that we have been keeping a close eye on, and of course, the team that took on the former champs LG Hydra, GHX Monstrum, Vel Prodigium. But before that,
Hmm.
I'd like to thank first our sponsor. The Alliance Games
Hmm.
wouldn't be a thing without our amazing sponsors and partners. Alliance Games, of course, co-presented by Globe Telecom, our official telco sponsor.
We're also powered by Logitech G as well. So yeah, I have my Logitech mouse as well that I got wireless, kind of convenient. So if you want to get your gaming gear, just check out the Logitech G products as well. So with all that said, it's so new to me that the Alliance or the League of Legends games are going to be so fast. Like we're so used to best of threes, or at least if it's going to be a best of one, it's like a group stage format where it's a round robin. But it's fast paced now. It's we're punk on the streets or something. Seeing as I dub the aesthetic of the layout of the overlays like chalk punk,
Chalk
like
Punk.
chalk punk.
Yeah, I like it.
Um,
It's nice.
yeah, yeah, and that's how fast paced we're going for League of Legends as well. And I can't wait. Our first game is going to be between Mapua University and Tramuros MGS as Mapua Gaming Society Mages versus the Technological University of the Philippines Manila team. The Gearhawks org is backing the Monster Vel Prodigium, another name that has been almost a household name for collegiate esports as well. If you have been watching for like since the years before, Monstrum Prodigium should be a
Hmm.
familiar name to you. And it is going to be an exciting match, definitely, between these two teams.
Yeah, it's Monsterville, sorry, has been around for
Mhm,
a while, like you
mhm,
said, but I would have to say that them coming out of their group here
mhm,
is a bit of a surprise to me because
mhm.
I would just like to dub their group to be sort of the hell
Yeah,
group, if
their
I
side
could
of the
say that.
brackets.
Yeah, because well,
Mhm,
to get to this point, they beat both Teletigers Haze and LG
mhm,
Hydra just to come out in the upper bracket, which is
mhm,
no easy feat. I'm telling you, this team Hyron, they've been on a roll and they haven't been stopping ever since. However, though, they're gonna be being met by MGS Mages coming up right now in this first matchup for the
mhm,
day, and of course, it's a best of one. So, well, anything
mhm.
could happen here.
Yeah, super fast, sobrang bilis, and of course the reason, like I think like the casters like kind of pulled in their predictions for day
Mhm.
one, and I was like, okay, I think Gearhawks is gonna win this just based on the record,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
this. Let me double check the roster here for Monsterville Prodigium. We have a couple of familiar names here. I'm sure that a lot of you know Collagen as well. And as for the mages, they have pretty much the same roster
Yeah.
that they had during NCO. They have Invicta here, Irali, Admit, Defsu. Shadow Blitz is also here, a familiar name as well. But MVP coming out of play-ins, beating Teletigers Haze, who has like at least one player. They have one player who is like at least top 15 challenger,
Oh.
Crimson, and also LG, who were the champions from the previous NCO seasons as well. But it's a new day, it's a new league, it's a new season as well. With the
Yeah.
durability patch, we're at 12.11. So, of course, looking at the pick and bans here, you have the obvious bans here in the Gangplank, the Wukong, and the Wukong and the Gwen. The Volibear as well has been seeing a little bit more play, and the Yasuo is definitely a target man here against the Gearhawks MVP squad.
Yeah, it's pretty excited to see what they're going to bring up here. I like
Mhm,
that you mentioned that it's sort of a new league, and the
mhm,
league is also kind of new in the sense
mhm,
that the meta is all over
mhm.
the place here. But here we go. The first pick coming in from Mage is Shadow Blitz. Gonna be securing that
Nami
victor
pickup
for
maybe.
his teammate. Yeah. Um, I'm excited to see what they're going to pick up here for Shadow Blitz. A notable ban here coming out
Mhm,
for him. The Gangplank, of course, as we know, is one of his famous comforts.
mhm.
I wonder if we're going to see his Fiora this time because Fiora in the
The
meta
Fiora
is
is,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, if it's not Gangplank, it's Fiora. At least in like the academy stages of the big leagues, like NALCS Academy, they've been seeing a lot of Fiora, if not the Gangplank, for the top side as well. And even in the previous patches, like LPL, LCK, who are still playing in 12.10, as far as I know. Um, Gangplank and Fiora are like up there along with
Mhm.
Kale and Gwen. So it
Yeah,
is going to be the Tom Kench here for the MVP squad, for the Monster Developer League squad from TUP Manila. The thing is, this could easily just go into the support role, but I have seen talk that top Tom Kench in 12.11 is actually not that bad. So this could be something that we'll see. Of course, Nautilus Kaisa, not as extremely potent as it was pre-durability patch, but it is still a force to be reckoned with in the bot lane.
yeah, pretty decent here in my opinion. Still,
Mhm,
yeah, I wonder what the response is going to be. Actually, they opted away from that Nautilus, a little bit more safety on the Braum, a little
mhm,
bit more on the protective side of things. And so far, MGS Mage is gearing up towards that late game parts of the with the Victor
mhm,
and the Kaisa showing. Um, yeah, it's sort of been the tone most recently with the durability patch. Like wait until late game and then fight.
mhm. I mean, I've
and
been
it,
watching. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
and in that sense, it isn't necessarily necessarily going to be action packed in
Mhm,
earlier stages where both teams just are scrounging up as much resources as they possibly could. But I'll have to see because MVP here, they're looking for, well, the composition
mhm.
so far looking a little bit more scrappier than MGS here.
Yeah, definitely on the earlier side of things as well. Like they have the Akali, they have the Lucian, they definitely have the means to get in like a flash of lightning in a clear sky. They'll
Mhm.
get in, get the kills, and then get out clean. That seems to be the game plan here. It's a little bit harder to pull off during durability patch. Like the usage for Akali has gone down quite considerably since 12.10, but I'm sure that a lot of mid laners in the Philippines, especially in the collegiate level, are still having that in their pockets. No, so not surprised going into the second ban phase as well. Udyr and Diana here, so a lot of focus onto Invicta and Irelie.
Mm,
Meanwhile, is it going to be okay? It's going to be the Hecarim ban here against Gearhawks, really focusing on the jungle here, making sure that their solo lanes, all their laners are having a good time as well.
exactly. Last
Mhm.
ban coming out from Mages, and it's gonna be the Lee
Viego
Sin,
open.
a bit of priority on
Mhm.
that jungler. So
Mhm.
neither teams have their junglers as of yet. So yeah, as I
Mhm.
mentioned, Viego is open. Wukong is not. So MVP, that should be their next pick here, if I'm not mistaken. They don't have a dedicated top laner yet, unless this Tom Kench, as you mentioned, is going to
Mhm.
be it. And there you go, the
Like I
Viego comes
said,
out.
Viego open takes it immediately. So just it's gonna be the Trundle. The Trundle is I think it's a pretty good pick. I haven't seen too much of it. I mean, I might have seen it like 4 times in the past week of many pro games. It is the subjugate is pretty good with the durability patch, making everyone just a little bit more resistant to damage,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be able to scrap through. Maybe someone gets saved by the Tom Kench. You can just like blow through all of that Tom Kench tankiness with the subjugate ticking down. We're gonna have to see, but this is pretty good team fighting comp here from the mages. Meanwhile, Gearhawks, they're more of a pick off, like not necessarily like a like a isolate and pick off comp, but more like catch someone out of position and
Yeah.
set up for the steamroll from the Viego and the Lucian kind of composition rather than a straight up team fighting comp that Mages seems to be crafting with this Victor, Braum, and Gragas in the composition.
I'm a little bit worried though for MGS Mage's comp right now. They have a lot of scaling, yes, but what can they bank on towards the earlier stages of the game when Viego comes around and a Lucian
That's your answer.
into a Tam Kench wants to go for those fights, and the response here is going to be MVP. The assurance
Mm-hmm.
on the Kale. I mean, Kale could be potent later
Mm-hmm.
on, but I think I gotta say here, Hiron, I'm liking MVP's composition a little bit more because they have more insurances. They got a little bit of early game prowess, and they've got that late game sort of security. Meanwhile, for MGS, it feels to me like it's all banking towards that later stages.
Definitely. For MGS, they have a pretty solid team fighting comp, very well rounded. Meanwhile, Gearhawks MVP is a comp of stratagem. It's more about the tricks that they can pull off because as a big cohesive chunk of 5 champions, it's not too impressive compared to like the comp that mages have built up, but they can pull out a lot of tricks in this game.
Exactly.
Of course, the Tom Kench, of course, can just like make a mini cross map play, or can save someone out of that. Not mini, sorry, save someone that's out of trouble, that's in
Yeah.
out of position and in trouble with the ulti, and then just like dive out, right? You can also have the Kale. The Kale synergizes
Kale.
so well with the Viego. Actually, with the three of the main damage dealers in the mid game here for Gearhawks, they have Lucian, they have Akali, they have the Viego as well. The latter two, Viego and Akali, are extremely potent with the intervention from Kale. Like the Akali with Kale ulti is a force to be reckoned with. Viego as well. If you can ensure Viego gets one reset here,
Mm.
that can turn the tide of the battle in a flash. And this is what Gearhawks is banking on. Plus, they have that kind of insurance with the Kale. Meanwhile, MGS is relying on just by the book drafting with a very well rounded comp.
Yeah, exactly. I'm completely on the same page with you right there. So many get out of jail free cards,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, on MVP side. You said you got the Kale ult, you got the Tom Kench ult as
Mm-hmm.
well. So yeah, they're really banking everything on these four carries, I would like to say. But before we move on and continue into the game, I'd just like to remind everyone that we're having two giveaways ongoing right now. The first one is going to be on Twitter. Just tweet anytime using the hashtag AllG, and you will be able to win up to 300 pesos worth of RP in our giveaway. Just
Mm-hmm.
type hashtag OG on Twitter. And we have another one ongoing as well, a weekend pass ticket giveaway for Conquest. For those of you who don't know about Conquest, why don't you tell about our viewers what Conquest is here, Hairan?
Right, so Conquest might be one of the biggest like esports and video
Mm-hmm.
game related cons that we're going to be having this year in the Philippines. It's going to be so exciting. It's going to be happening like July, the weekend of July 23, right? Let me
23rd,
double
yeah.
check my calendar. So 23, 24. It's going to be awesome. They have merch booths. They have meet and greets as well. With I'm sure that you guys have seen the
Posters.
efforts of the AcadArena marketing team to show you like all of the guests that we're having, such as Lily Pichu and Michael Reeves, Kede. Those are big names that everyone's waiting for. Um, and they also have, of course, the finals, the grand finals for a lot of our alliance games like League of Legends happening on 23. You'll have to tune into the other games to see
Mm.
which of the 2 days their finals is going to be, like for Wild Rift as well. So, and we're gonna have to see.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of competitive as well with the finals of the games. So I'm just so excited for Conquest 2022 overall.
Yeah, me too. Which days are you going there, Hairan? Going both
I think
days?
I think I'm gonna have to be going to at least one day,
Yeah.
but if I can go to both days, I think
Mhm.
that's going to be the plan.
Yeah, and I'm super excited because I feel that
Mhm.
I think is it the biggest convention we've ever had since the
Possibly
pandemic
the
broke out?
biggest,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
possibly the biggest.
So it's not just in that sense. It's not necessarily just an esports and gaming thing.
Hmm.
Anyone and everyone
It's a
could enjoy
community
that
thing as
because
well.
yeah, it's been a while since we've had something
Hmm.
nice like this. And for me, actually, it's gonna be the first time for me going to a convention, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna be meeting all these esports wonderful people, Hiron included, which I haven't met in person
In person,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I actually haven't met anyone from the scene in person
Yeah, this
because
is in the past, especially if you really got into the groove of the esports scene only in the past
exactly
like years of the pandemic, it's going to be so different to go to Conquest and meet
meet them.
everyone in person. It's such a different experience, and I can't wait to see everyone again. Since like when did pandemic start? Like 20.
2020.
Time has lost all meaning to me
Exactly.
during the pandemic as well. But for you guys, we're just waiting for the game to load in
Yeah.
as well. So just share the stream, and we'll be picking 5 winners
Hmm.
for the weekend pass ticket giveaway for Conquest 2022. If you want the latest updates as well on our Alliance Games team, schedules, article stats, you'll also find it all on acadarena.com/alliance-games. And of course, the orgs here, the Alliance orgs that have made all of this possible with their community, uplifting their community, creating the infrastructure for their teams, the support staff, and just generally building on and expanding what their forebears. This seems kind of a big word to use, but their predecessors.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
that's
yeah.
better. Their predecessors, building up on what their predecessors had already given. I think it's a big part of what makes collegiate esports here in the Philippines so exciting and such a great space to be in.
And it's grown so much too,
Mhm,
right? I mean,
mhm,
a year ago we didn't even have all J. It's called it
mhm,
was under a different name before, right?
mhm.
UAC under University
USC and
Alliance,
SEO,
yeah,
yeah.
and NCO. So and now we're gonna have
Mhm,
this whole thing, a
mhm,
lot of titles together, and
mhm,
then we're gonna have a huge sort of culmination to close it all out. It's just an amazing thing for me, and I just gotta give my admiration to AcadArena because they've really grown so much over the past
mhm,
couple of years, and they've really put the spotlight towards the players, towards the
mhm,
student gamers, and it's something that's been sorely missing, I would say, here in the country for so long, and I'm glad that we're finally filling those shoes up. Of course,
mhm,
let's talk a little bit more about our matchup here.
mhm.
MGS
Yeah.
Mages versus Gearhawks MVP. Um, we've said earlier that Mages essentially has had the same lineup as before. Not really
Mhm,
any changes to their roster
mhm.
going
Still
up
have the
against
big names
MVP
early in the
right
gang.
now. But MVP, they've been in a bit of a what's the perfect term to say this? They've been in a bit of a murder roll.
Yeah, did you
Yes.
see the meme on their page?
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, they've been looking unstoppable quite recently. Do you think, Chiron, MGS have what it takes to stop them right now in this best of one?
It's gonna be a tough call. When I was deciding for our like pick'ems, caster pick'ems,
Mm,
to me it was like 60-40.
yeah.
At first, I was like, I favored okay, early and the squad here have had the time. Invicta early admit devs, like everyone in the roster has had the time to mesh together to really come together as a team, as a
Mm,
cohesive team, and they did show that, like reaching all the way to at least was that semis of NCO season 3. They showed that they had that potential, but for me, it was like the X factor of TUP coming in, the Gearhawks MVPs coming in, beating out LG Hydra, being able to take out Teletigers Haze.
mm,
That was like, okay, this is a team definitely that we have to watch out for, and that doesn't say that the mages from Mapua Gaming Society are any slouch.
yeah.
Because, like I said, they're a very consistent team. Their performances are. You can always expect something good from mages, but for MVP is like the X factor of them having beat the champions in the play-ins is like what's keeping my eyes on them right now.
Yeah, completely on the same page with you there. I mean, if you
Mhm.
take a look at it, MGS Mages, they've been around for a while, and they've had pretty stellar performances over the years. But when you take a look at the play-in stage and the most recent history of between these two teams, well, Gearhawks, honestly, they're looking so good. I mean, there's not really much else to say about that apart from they really have a lot of momentum going into this matchup, and they've been through so much in the play-in stage just to get to this point. Meanwhile, Mages, can we say the same thing? Can we say that they've gone through a similar sort of circumstance in the playing stage? I'm not really sure.
We haven't seen them in quite some time, and at least in a competitive stage. Of course, people that are part of their communities will often see them, like maybe just in their discords, in their community discords, just playing in solo duo, or even
Mm.
just I don't know, maybe they're playing TFT together. But there's this saying where if a scholar disappears for 3 days, when they come back, you have to look at them with fresh eyes, right? You have to look at them without the same, I guess, prejudices, without the same expectations that you had when you last saw them. Because in 3 days, uh,
A lot can change.
players as solid as the MGS squad can definitely already give such great leaps and bounds when it comes to their progress, when it comes to their skill. As for Gearhawks, they're looking like the Grim Reapers, I guess you could say, of the play-in. So we'll see if they'll continue their Shinigami duties here in the playoffs. As we are just waiting for the game to load. Just a little bit more patience, my friends. But here, I'm already giddy with excitement because it's been a while since I have commentated a league game, and it's really great to get back in the groove of things.
Hmm. You know what? Enlighten me, Hiron. What
Mhm.
is a Shinigami? I'm
All right,
sorry.
sorry. We alert. We
I'm
have alert.
sorry. I'm
Okay, sorry.
sorry.
So basically, like the grim, it's like Grim Reaper. You know,
Mm.
they're the Grim
Yeah.
Reapers of the play-ins.
Ah, okay.
No, I just outed myself. So we to
No, 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 no.
everyone.
I am I'm sorry. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed to admit that I'm a non
um,
because all my friends are for some reason.
it's, a,
And
it's a rabbit hole.
every time I say it, I get what?
You don't know
Why?
what that is?
You you
Yeah.
you're not a man of culture? Huh? I get immediately attacked, Tyron. I
Mhm.
honestly didn't get that, but
Yeah,
maybe
that's
eventually,
fine.
I'll come around to
Mm.
to jumping into the rabbit hole. I mean,
Yeah,
for
you
instance,
should get into it, cause especially like sports anime.
mm,
Because whenever the competition gets really tight in collegiate,
mm.
we always start referencing all the sports anime, like okay, Kuroko no Basket, like that basketball anime. if you're a boomer, you could go all in on like freaking slam dunk
Slam dunk.
on how, or if you're a Haikyuu fan as well, just put on all those references in chat
Okay, okay,
when the
okay.
competition gets
These
tight,
are
when
alien
it's
terms to me. What
yeah,
is
when it's neck and neck.
IQ?
So it's like a volleyball. It's like a
Ah.
volleyball anime.
Uh-huh.
So all these sports anime, we start referencing that when everything gets really like hot and competitive in the AcadArena.
Yeah,
You bet, you
just
bet. Especially if it's like finals, especially if there's a storyline like old rivals. We used to do that with like between LG and with like LG and Oblation,
mm.
way back when. It's so funny. You should get into it.
Perhaps in the future, because I don't know. I never got into it as a child because as a kid because I don't because it was kind of inaccessible back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have internet, and you have to there. Did we even have Animax? I don't even think we had Animax
You
back
had to
then.
have cable
Yeah, we
to
had
get
cable, but
Animax.
we didn't have
And I think
Animax.
even if you also needed cable if you wanted to watch like Filipino dubbed. That wasn't like in our major
What's that
channels, right?
channel? What's that
Like Hero,
channel?
like Hero, rest in peace,
Hero
Hero.
TV. Is
Yeah,
that still alive
yeah.
today?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But now things are a lot more accessible.
Exactly.
You can get your anime when you need, and of course, that makes it so that anime games are also much more accessible as well. Like going back to Conquest as well,
Yeah.
bringing everything together to make the space more accessible, more inclusive, I think is also a big part of AcadArena. Like, um, AcadArena is a safe space as well. Like, no matter your orientation or your identity, happy Pride, and
Yeah.
on the more accessibility as well. Uh, we I think we have some Genshin English voice actors coming to Conquest
Exactly.
as well. So
Exactly.
everything that used to be so far from us is now a lot more accessible because of all the work that's been put in the past decades. But I think we're just fixing a couple more technical issues for you guys. So just please be a little bit more patient. We'll be going into a very short break. We've been your hosts, I guess, for now. I'm Hiron. With me is Data, and we'll be back with MGS Mages versus Gearhawks MVP from TUP after a very short break.
Stigma of video games and academics.
Happy birthday to AcadArena. We look forward to all the great work you guys will be doing in the coming years.
Happy birthday, AcadArena. We hope you continue to support our industry and break the stereotypes of how student gamers can be.
Pinoys continue to dominate in esports globally. This startup aims to keep the streak going and provide education for those eyeing a gaming career. AcadArena secured over 170 million pesos for their projects. We get to know more about their initiatives with a young...
It's still crazy to think that it's been 3 years since AcadArena started. Today isn't just a celebration of our anniversary, it's a celebration of everyone who supported us along the way. We've had students who grew up with AcadArena, myself being one of them. We know what it's like to balance work and studies, and we know what it's like to feel like you're not going to make it. But you will, and it'll all be better. Break through with us.
This is Filippo.
This is Jessica.
Parehong freshies, parehong gamers. Gusto ni Filippo maging next big caster.
Si Jessica naman wants to make the biggest esports tournament in their campus.
But they don't know where to start.
They're also from different campuses
In different parts of the Philippines.
they would have never met. If not,
For AcadArena.
In AcadArena, we help students meet, collaborate, and learn all the hype and wonder ng gaming at esports.
Dito, naging caster si Filippo even just for that afternoon. He met students with the same dream, attended our workshop, and we funded a tournament where they can debut.
That was Jessica's tournament. Inorganize niya ito with a student club in her campus na ginabayan namin all the way. And that's how they met. That's what we do here in AcadArena.
We turn gamers into leaders, Casters, breadwinners. AcadArena. It's not just play.
Outside the game, I'd have a hard time making decisions and just go through life without any direction really. But when I'm in the game and as captain of the team, I have to make confident split-second decisions to lead our team and give us that direction we need to win the game.
I got my self-confidence when I become a radio jock for the university, and it basically developed my self-confidence to speak out loud to many people out there.
As an ate, you're supposed to know what to do. Minsan, parang hindi na pwedeng magkamali. Kasi ate ka dapat you serve as an example for the younger ones. But as a student leader, that was not the case for me. I was allowed to make mistakes, learn, and do better. Just like how we encourage you, our Telecoms, to wear your stripes.
The community that we've built across the world have given us a place to belong. As the world becomes more connected, the opportunities will reach all corners of the world. I'm so excited to bring campus gaming across Southeast Asia.
Esports and gaming can be a great equalizer. Here, your physique doesn't matter too much. Your sex and gender shouldn't matter. You have an avatar. You're just you and all the awesomeness that comes with it. It matters less which part of the world you're in. The world is bigger, and there's so much we can do together in gaming and esports. You just need to meet the right people to change the world.
In AcadArena.
Welcome back, guys. This is still the Alliance Games featuring League of Legends co-presented by Globe, and I have to apologize, folks, because we are experiencing some technical difficulty, but no, don't mind that because we are about to start the game number 1 here. Again, it's MGS Mages versus Gearhawks MVP in a best of 1 to find out who will advance further into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's a best of 1. So it's so cutthroat. It's down to the wire already from the get-go. There's no chance to make up for your mistakes. You have to get into game 1. That's the only game. I mean, you have lower bracket, yes, but it's so easy to get out of the groove just from being knocked down from upper bracket, right? So both of these teams, they're definitely going to be giving it all the tricks, all the cards that they have. They're going to have to put it out already in this game against them unless they're super confident that they can get further into the playoffs without those stratagems, without those tricks up their sleeve. So I'm really excited to see what the Mages have since NCO Season 3, how much they've grown together. Meanwhile, for Gearhawks MVP coming in riding upon their dark horse, upon their red hair. Let's see if they got what it takes to make their mark once again in Collegiate Esports League of Legends.
Why do they have to have red hair?
Sorry, red hair. Sorry, it's the name of a red horse called Red Hair. Yeah, there we go. Like the rabbit. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like.
To be fair, their logo is pretty red. It just doesn't have hair because it's like a monster skeleton.
It looks like Kog'Maw actually.
But, yeah. I think generally monster was the idea here, like Monstrum vel Prodigium. It's like monster or prodigy in Latin. And meanwhile, the mages just very simple. Mapua Gaming Society mages. Very simple.
Very
And
honest in that
yeah,
sense.
and such a I love seeing like all the design specs for the alliance orgs, right? Like sometimes you're
So
like you're
clean.
super like so clean. It's definitely been a great step up since the like the olden days before
Are you gonna
orgs
stop?
were given such a before orgs were given the limelight and infrastructure was just not there. There's like, oh, can you make the logo for us, please? Can you dito yung design pegs namin?
You know what? At this
Yeah.
point, we're just like two old guys.
Yeah, it's
Back
like
in my day, people didn't have good logos. Stop aging.
oh, diba, uy, bro, diba may graphic design experience? Can you do this for me, but for the org? And then, but yeah, and all those times, all the way from back when, we're reaching even greater heights here for Collegiate Esports, and MGS Mages Gearhawks MVP. Really looking forward to what they have to offer for the scene. I'm sure that both of these orgs have already, like Gearhawks and the Mapua Gaming Society, built up quite the infrastructure in their own communities and their own schools, and the interconnectedness of the alliance. I mean, it's in the name, right? The alliance is definitely one of the highlights, and so yeah, keeping it cool with the competition, keeping it respectful as well. I expect you guys in the chat will keep it very civil as well. So yeah, just you need to wait just a little bit more for the game to get in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned the alliance being sort of a product of this whole endeavor. Sorry for using cheesy words, but hey, it's just as important, I would say, as the highlight we're putting into the players that go into these types of competitions and the avenue that we are providing for them, because it really just builds so much. I want to say unity, but I don't want to use that word because it's anyway, it's a beautiful alliance, is what I'm trying to say, and it builds
Better.
it builds this sort of camaraderie
Yeah, there we go.
among
Okay.
us student gamers and esports enthusiasts. That it's quite frankly something that we haven't seen before, and it's something that's uh, I I think is going to propel the esports scene in general here in the Philippines, because I feel like with regards to that, the esports sort of connotation or it being an industry as a whole, compared to other countries in the Philippines, there's still like a little bit of a stigma, right? There's still sort of a negative connotation attached to it, and I feel like having the Alliance Games is a massive stepping stone towards eradicating that whole idea.
Yeah, it's definitely still building that bridge. Even after all these years, we're still building that bridge slowly, surely. I think we've already come a long way. As you said, we've come a long way, but there's also still a long way to go for that. So for our players here, kind of expecting like in the future, maybe if if MGS moves on to the next part of the upper bracket, or whether they get sent down to the lower bracket. Looking at their roster, it does seem like their champion pools have adjusted relatively well to the durability patch. All right, they don't have any. Oh, we're already 8 minutes into it with four kills on the board, and like I said, it does seem like their champion pools have adjusted quite well. Karaga's top is the one that I'm a little bit iffy on, even though I do like the cohesion of the comp a lot more. We're gonna have to see though. What do you think, Tatum?
I mean, the Gragas, I like it a lot because it offers so much disengage potential. Whenever MVP goes to these, talk about their win conditions, how he want to play this early game. The competition is a little bit built around getting those picks, right? And getting creative and looking for these isolated fights, as opposed to MGS, who really want to go for those late game sort of 5v5 full-on fights. And a lot of this proactivity, sort of MVP, could be deterred by a single casket from that explosive cast, right? Really, the general idea for me there is I like the Gregas pick because it can do that. So now, 2-2 on this one. First pick already in the hands of MGS. First on contact coming on top. Stun comes in. Shadow Blitz really doesn't have a lot to do here. It wasn't even didn't even use the flash.
And that's really rough. That's really rough right there. Like being caught under turret on top of everything, especially with how much more painful turrets are in this meta or in this patch. It's definitely going to be trouble for Shadow Blitz here. He is building into a little bit more of a like grenade type of Gragas build where you go in, deal a lot of damage, displace the enemy formation. Meanwhile, for MVP, the silver lining for MGS there is that there was no kill or assist going to Sean right there, right? So that's definitely something that they can take comfort in, like not giving an accelerated kill onto the Kale.
Exactly. But I think we're seeing a bit of a bug here in the overlay 101 Shadow Blitz. I believe he's 1-1-1 right now. And Sean 0-2 still not having the best of times here as a Kale, but it's something that we've come to expect. Right? Kale doesn't really become I like saying this a lot when I'm playing a solo queue. Kale doesn't become a champion until it gets to a certain point.
Level 16 is the their deadline pretty much. For MGS, their deadline is for Sean to get level 16. Once Sean reaches level 16, it's gonna be a lot harder to get through this. But even before then, the fact that there's an Akali and that there's a Viego already gives a pretty decent amount of value for the Kale, even without the Super Saiyan power up that Kale gets at 11 and 16, right? So, here, outside, misses, hit him.
Trying to get a shield into the great ulti, but Victor's making his way down here already. Kali Lord has been used up by Dwarf Eevee, but nobody going down. This is the power of having tap on the bottom side support, right? When you get that ulti going, it's 3 paths. Quite easily, it's gonna roll into the open.
Yeah, at first I thought that the Glacial Fissure would turn the tides in MGS's favor, like catching Dwarf out of position, Dwarf Vihi out of position here. Getting a kill clean, plus the Ocean Break means that they have a very solid position. Sean having to use his ulti right there. Shadow Blitz should be very satisfied with that. That means there's gonna be no, maybe for the next dive, there's gonna be no ulti from the as well. Still fighting though. Should be dead, right?
Knock up, and I believe Sean is going to fall right there. Meanwhile, bottom side, a bit of session happening for that red buff on the bottom. But I don't think Invicta is still alive to contest this at all, so MVP should have, well, a fairly easy time getting to secure this. I'm not sure if it's on my end, but I think it's...
but that's generally how the strategy goes for MVP. Yeah. They have this comp, they can kind of leave Sean alone topside. They can give up, they can afford to gambit Sean, right? They don't... it would be ideal if Sean was getting kills, and it would be ideal if Sean was being accelerated topside, but honestly, they can just have Sean play safe and have that inevitability ticking down. Meanwhile, there's early strong part of the comp, which is, of course, within the side of the Akali Viego Lucian, with the get out of jail free card, Collegiate ulti. They have a lot of potential here. They might be courting death a little bit here. Nice teleport from Hero. They might be a fight, but it seems like MVP knows when to let go.
Yeah. Also the flash from Collegiate, though. That's the thing that we have to consider later on. Admit getting bailed out by his teammate right there, surviving by the TP of Hero. 3-4. I like that you pointed out the sort of the Kale playstyle, right? Lose lane, win game, just reach level 16. But my question for you, Iron, is it going to be enough? Because remember, this is a pretty much a scaling comp. Remember, right? You got a Victor and a Kaisa, and of course, a on that Trundle as well. When it gets to that point, is that Kale going to be enough to single-handedly turn it around for MVP? Because yes, level 16 to win is true, but it's also, I guess, in a sense, true for those two carries for MGS's side?
This is kind of the situation that we have seen very recently, right? Like they have the kill, and they have that quote-unquote inevitability taking down. Okay, but it's going to be a fight both sides.
1 HP left. Press the attack has been triggered, but both flashes being forced out of those ADCs. Are gonna back on out now? But Collegiate looking for more. Tongue comes out, gets the tag. Someone's gonna fall off here anytime soon. Leaving on mid side. Sure can connect on too early. Again, no full commitment as of yet. Either of the teams really want to risk losing these fights as of yet, because so far the game's dead even right now. 43 is the scoreline, 1 red piece, but the gold lead not swinging out in anyone's favor as of yet. No more rift worlds available, so the turf are down as well. So again, this is the state of League of Legends. Now both teams just playing towards that later on objective, but Sean though getting knocked up by the pillar.
He doesn't have ulti at this point, or flash.
No flash either, so Sean here is quite
that has to
dead
be
in the
dead.
water. Yeah.
That has to be dead. Unless Shadowblitz like severely misplaces his explosive cask, this should be a free kill here for MGS. And once again, for both of these champions, yes, giving up a kill is of course not ideal, but the important thing here that is going to Shadowblitz is going to Invicta, who can deal a lot of damage later in the game. Of course, Shadowblitz building into the Everfrost as well, and of course Invicta going for the Hydra. It's not as bad as for example, a different meta jungler, let's say Wukong and Diego getting that kill.
Flash away. Trying to save his teammate Sean. A little bit of a questionable call there, perhaps, but still alive at 9, level 9.
Okay.
Okay. Now here comes the back. Crony from the back line. Perfect execution on that ulti.
That instantly makes that not worth it.
Yeah. Comes the Rift Herald getting started off by Invicta. Gonna call up on his teammate here for that response here. Jumps in for that, but still, MVP, they're gonna secure this almost surely. Keeper to 2. Chaos Storm comes out, really looking for that damage. But now, Chaos already spawned, Sean already in.
Smite?
And they actually get into Smite off, stuff comes through, and that's just it. They're looking for more here, but the problem over here. No, they're available, but they're going in and jump in the reset. Diego going ham, and Caillou picks up early for 2 for nothing. And Rift Herald's still up. They can get this.
Yeah, and I think they might end up using it here if they want to open up the map. They don't necessarily have to just go for the dive like that, and of course, free reset for the Diego. This is where their strengths lie around like 15 to 20 minutes in the game. That even if the gold was at parity.
Oh no!
Oh no, Shadow Blitz?
No, Shadow
1v3 versus the world here? That was definitely not the Lubu versus Swan Brothers scenario that he was thinking it would be, saving the tower. So, of course, the gap is now just like 1.5k gold, but it's important to look at what has been completed already on the side of MVP, right? Like they have Crony on the Akali 3-0-1 and the Caillou and the Viego 3-0-5. This is a huge spike that they can really leverage. That the 2k gold doesn't exactly show you explicitly, right? And that's where the power of their comp goes. As long as they're not fighting full 4v5s, because and as long as they're fighting not like 4v5s or 4v4s, as long as they're fighting 4v4s, where Sean and another member of MGS are not involved, it should be fine. If Sean absolutely has to be involved in a fight, it has to be with a play. Like I said, one of the tactics that they can use is to ensure invincibility on Caillou with a Divine Judgment, to ensure a reset with a Viego ulti, or just an execution with an in and out from Crony. Either one works. If they can pull that off, they can fight these 5v5s. Otherwise, MGS can maybe outlast them.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. The 2k gold lead not really reflecting of the state of the game right now, because we talked a lot about how these 3 key members from MVP are going to be pivotal into these early and mid game skirmishes. And look at the scoreboard. They're the ones with the bounties on their head right now. They're the ones with the most KP: 305, 301, 202 on all of them. Caillou, Crony, and Dwarf Fihi. And meanwhile, if you take a look at MGS, all of the gold really is funneled onto Shadow Blitz, being the only one with more than one kill on their team. And we just saw him got shut down earlier in a little bit of a questionable call down in mid lane. So really, MVP have the upper hand right now, but can they translate it towards later on, where MGS is eventually going to have that time in the limelight when the team fights come on? That's the question right now. Can MVP translate? But the good thing for them here, Drake about to spawn in about a minute, and they have a massive momentum advantage and gold leads that they can perhaps force the issue in that next Drake fight about to happen.
And they can continue leveraging the strength that they have as well. Like I said, most of the gold is concentrated in Shadow Blitz. Even on a more damage-oriented Gragas build, it's still not ideal to have that concentrated while the opposing team has Viego and Akali building up and racking up that cash money from all those kills, right? And there's like a long-term investment onto the Kale. They're just leaving it there. And already level 11, that's already, very optimistically, that's already like halfway to getting level 16 Kale, right? That's already halfway ascended. They just need to hold out for that long and dominate with the 4v4s early in the game. Like I said, if they want to take 5v5s, they have to use the Divine Judgment very, very perfectly. Using it for the Viego, using it for the Kali. The Lucian, possibly, if the Lucian gets jumped, but ideally they're the ones that are supposed to be pulling the trigger. They are the ones who are supposed to be the tigers pouncing on their prey I guess the hawks swooping down on their prey in this situation. It has to be them pulling the trigger. They have to put MGS on the defensive, otherwise they might lose their chance to really accelerate the game in their favor.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? I feel like the Kale sort of playstyle on the top side for MVP here is the playstyle that MGS wants to go for their entire team apart from that top laner, because so far they've already I guess halfway through accomplished what they want with the top side. I mean, sure, Shadow Blitz hasn't been having the best of games, or rather the best couple of last minutes, because the rest of the game has been pretty good for him. Got 3 kills, got the early shutdown on the kill, only to be shut down later on. But I feel like for their mid laner and their bot laner, it's the same story as the kill, right? Just wait until they get those items. Wait until the Kai'Sa scales. Wait until the Victor scales and gets items. But can they weather the storm from Gearhawks' proactivity? Will they have to even contest these objectives, these Drakes? I mean, of course, in these sort of games, they should, right? At a glance, but can they even afford to do that here, Iron?
It's very difficult to get it going. We do have the kind of, they still have that insurance that you mentioned on the side of the Kai'Sa as well, being able to scale up, being that late game. There's like kind of not really exact, but a very similar situation that we could see in like game 1, like one of the first games of LCK this summer splits, like Kwandong Freaks versus Sunwell Life Esports, where yes, they did get the level 18 Kale, but in the end, if they get outplayed, if they get out 5v5'd, it's gonna be very difficult for them to actually get value out of that. But does seem like right now Gearhawks is the one on the offensive. Gearhawks is the one pulling out threats. Yeah, Gearhawks are the ones pulling out threats, forcing MGS to answer. And right now, it seems like the mages, their spellcasting is interrupted, and they haven't been able to mount a good defense, a good answer to the questions that Gearhawks is answering. Asking them.
And part of it is because I think, for the most part, the Akali on Gearhawks' side has been a little bit more present towards the map, towards the side lanes, I would say, because that's one of the things that you can do as an Akali against a champion who in this case, a Victor, just wants to farm up and not really take these fights because he cannot as of yet. And not just for Akali, for the entirety of the team for Gearhawks here, they are looking pretty good. Um this is very X. I'm looking for a term. Very X. Um, they're asserting their presence
Oh yeah,
towards
yeah.
the entire map. That honestly, they're putting MGS at positions that make them very uncomfortable, making them sort of forcing them to make these plays that will nullify them from executing them later on in these pivotal fights. Because
I know what you were trying to say. Exerting a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's
Exactly.
that's one of yeah,
They're
exerting a
doing
lot
a
of
lot of
pressure.
pressure in the entire map here, that they're forcing flashes and ults out of the members of MGS mages, that they opt for these almost desperate plays. Like we saw there right there, Shadow Blitz going for the 1 versus 3. I believe it's just trying to nullify the Shelly right there and perhaps deny a second charge on the Herald. But no, he died and he didn't even take care of the Shelly. And that's the thing. Gearhawks forcing MGS to these situations.
And we don't really have a lot of info on how the rest of the game has been proceeding. So once again we apologize for these technical difficulties. We'll try to. Okay, it seems like we have returned with a little snapshot of history here. It seems like TUP-M, Monstrum Prodigium has built up a pretty sizable lead, but has given up a lot of Drakes to get to that point. They're like 2.2k gold ahead. However, that's still the same amount of gold lead that they had like 5 minutes ago. They've lost 3 Drakes in the meantime. So I think like MGS, while they have to be wary of Kaio and Crony, it's not so bad a situation that they cannot overcome. They still have this comp where I think they can actually pull off a pretty decent 1-3-1 here once they get like one more legendary item on their laners. So Shadow Blitz and Eerily, they can go for 1-3-1 with a pretty decent wave clear and a pretty good ability to get out of trouble. Right? Like Eerily on that Victor, Victor just cues you, runs away, laughs at you. Of course, Shadow Blitz can just body slam away. And both of them do have their teleports. Well, all of their solo laners have teleports ready, but I think that MGS's comp right now has a better potential to go for that as well. The biggest factor here is like really Crony, to keep him in check.
Yeah, one of the things though that we missed in that sort of clause was Crony, remember, had a bounty going for himself before we went into it. Now he doesn't anymore and he has a death, and I believe that death was taken by Def2, because look, despite the kill differential between the Kai'Sa and the Lucian, they're almost at the same level of gold. 3 items now for the Kai'Sa. Actually, a little bit more gold now, so I believe that's the bounty going from the Akali towards Def2. That's really sort of
big factor
propelled them to this position, and now they've got 3 takes, and they're looking for the 10th is a Baron buff, which honestly at this point is looking pretty scary with a 3 item up Def2.
Yeah. Defsu has the Kraken Slayer, has like all the items, and he's just missing like the rest of the full crit, like the IE, to really be a menace. Once Defsu gets that, he really will perhaps live up to the namesake of Deft and take over this game here. Dwarfihi is gonna have to. Of course, the best thing about this Tahm Kench is that the weaknesses of Lucian are kind of like mitigated. Lucian having to get in, of course, one of the highest presence marksmen in the 12.11, 12, and even 12.10 meta. A lot of the weaknesses are really worked around by that Tahm Kench in the support role. And we'll see. 3-0-2 has the Gale Force, could get a pick off. The priority is to get Kaio reset, I think, in these fights. We are starting this Baron. Very bold move here. They're forcing death. Will MVP be able to interrupt this? Because teleports coming through, they call it off, they call for the retreat, admit pulling up the bulwark. But it does seem like it just gets passed over to MVP. I wonder how this is gonna end. It's
pretty awkward for MGS.
It's pretty awkward.
Placed the pink ward a little bit too far forward. They weren't able to clear it from behind. Ziller comes out, a lot of evolution. But now they're isolating these fights. Just removing ADC out of the equation. But for now, the Lucian's still up in the count. He is being chased down by the Trundle on the 1v1. But that means they don't have Smite. Baron now down to 1,800 health. Divine Glaive comes. Divine Judgment comes out. There you go. Baron Nashor comes out and gets secured by MVP here. But now the fight breaks through. MVP currently picks up that too. Now everyone from MVP is falling back. But there comes Sean on that tail, mowing them all down. And now it's gonna leave Early all alone. But they secure the Baron and the fight. And it's a clean ace here coming out from MVP.
That is absolutely devastating on the part of the mages from Mapua. That was definitely not what I'd expect from a roster like Invicta Early and Devs, who has so much time to communicate. It seemed like they had one call. It seems like they were all on the same page, right? Exactly. The call was Invicta keeps Dwarpy away from the fight so that even if they don't get Baron, they can win the team fight. But what actually happened was Invicta, yes, he was able to chase away Dwarpy, but without the subjugate, it was, and the smite, I think, at that point was secondary. They made the call, right? They decided, okay, we don't care about Baron, we just want to get the kills here. That's basically what they said when they sent Invicta against Dwarfy. But the thing is, they didn't have enough damage. Devsu doesn't have IE, and Eerily has, yes, this has the Shadow Flame and the Leandries, but it wasn't able to really finish off the kills. They weren't able to finish off the kills. MVP was able to stabilize. Kaio got one kill, and after that, so the moment that they get a kill, Kaio gets the reset, and the rest is history. Because that's how every Viego teamfight goes.
Yeah. I love how you really dissected that fight. They sent up two members deep into the Baron pit. That's Collegiate on top of Kaio for the security of that smite and that extra layer of protection from that Tom Kench. Okay, Casket comes out. Shadow Blitz just looking for a little bit of annoyance there, I guess. But going back to my point, they baited every bit of intel from MGS towards throwing all of that ult into Prone, who, by the way, still survived towards that fight, and it was just playing along the damage that Sean was outputting towards that entire time that they used the ulti on that early on. By the time that the Baron came out, Kaio and Collegiate just came out of the Baron pit and joined the fight towards essentially a 4 versus 4 with the damage only being dealt by Sean in that entire time. I mean, I like the idea for MGS to split it up, remove Dwarfy from the equation, but it's already at the point that Sean is online. Level 17 on the Kale, and this is where things get dicey for MGS.
Yeah, MGS really tried to kill with a borrowed knife there, using the Baron to kind of like be the place of the subjugate and the extra damage. It just didn't happen. And by the way, it's level 17 kill now. We have reached the point where Sean is Super Saiyan. He has the Rift Maker as well, Nashers, which means it's going to be so difficult to take him down without a concerted effort from MGS. And at that point, if you're using all of your resources to try and take down the Kale, then the Viego is going to be the one taking over, clean up the team with the help of the Akali. And of course, that's not to mention Dwarfy, who has been playing very, very clean with 0 deaths in this game. Exhaust really paying off for him here. Just being able to, like, someone dives him, like Shadow Blitz goes on him, like body slams on him, easy exhaust. And there's not even someone that can fully dive this Lucian or really punish the Lucian's like short 500 attack range. And it's very, very difficult right now at this point for MGS to pull back. They would have to really get a good team fight where they lock down either Kaio or Sean at the start and be able to follow through, because they're not going to be the ones picking off targets in this game. It's going to be MVP with their Viego, their Lucian, and their Akali.
The 3-1 still being set up for MVP here, and they really are just so confident in Sean right now. I mean, of course, they do have Kaio posted up so close, but I gotta say, at this point, how many members is it going to take down Sean? Like, what is it, 3v1, 2v1, even? They have to sacrifice half or more of their team just to try and neutralize one of those threats. But at this point, it's not just a triple threat, it's a quad threat now, because Dwarfy, as you mentioned, has been having a perfect game so far. And earlier, we saw Invicta try and neutralize Dwarfy and chasing him down to the depths of hell and high water to no avail. And now look at the damage. Sean is just...
For a tank, that was being melted pretty. Well, not really a tank, but for a relatively tanky mage, like how Shadow Blitz is like building it, that's pretty painful as well. So here, the cracks in the MGS comp are showing, right? Like if you look at this comp, it's a very pre-durability patch comp, and it's really showing its weakness when but Devsu gets the 1v1 kill. MVP, how much can they get from that? I'm sorry, MGS, that's basically stops the momentum from the MVP push bot side and allows them to get a little bit of breathing room as well. So MVP getting pushed back, silver linings for the team, and it's going to be quite difficult. I think the next big fight is going to be on the Drake side. That's going to be Soul Point Cloud, though. I guess it's a lot more helpful here for MVP than it is for MGS, but denying the Cloud is still going to be an opportunity for MVP to get more kills here and be able to finish off the game. They have open inhib mid. They can go for bot side push possibly after Drake if the fight is successful on their side.
Yeah, more important than the momentum being stopped here for MVP, that's a massive bounty being held again to depth. So I think it was 600.
Oh, Baron.
Baron now being started up by MVP. They're not...
Oh, they're trading
no info here. They're actually going to not even contest it at all here. So MGS get the Cloud Soul instead. MVP. Now though, I wonder how they're going to approach this Baron buff, because they've been posting up so much with the 1-3-1 this time. They've been making it work for the most part, but now they got punished because Dwarfy got caught in a pretty bad spot there, and now he doesn't have flash either. So they have to post up at least one member with Dwarfy now into perhaps a 2-2-1 or still a 1-3-1. But the fact of the matter is, they have the advantage now with the Baron buff. They could just push up on all lanes, and I wonder if MGS have enough wave gear for that.
And well, the pressure from MVP is gonna be a little bit easier to respond to on the side of MGS because they do have the Cloud Soul. Their inhib is back up. The thing is, with MVP going for, once again, this time they're the ones that can 1-3-1 because of course their laners have teleport. They are very good at surviving on their own, and if not, like if it's for Sean, they're gonna need to send at least 2, maybe 3 members to take that down. And if that happens, MVP is just very happy to take like mid lane, open mid for that one. Meanwhile, MGS, they're still looking for their opportunity. I think the biggest clincher here for MGS is gonna have to be the Glacial Fissure. One good Glacial Fissure can possibly lock down Crony or Kaio when they go in. And then it's going to be a question of whether Sean can make the call to save Crony or Kaio in the right moment, or try and save it for himself. That's a decision that's going to be pivotal for MVP. Meanwhile, for MGS, I think that's really the biggest thing here. That or a good explosive cast to really split the formation up into a situation where they are in favor, where Devsu can like isolate Irelie, and Devsu can really isolate a target. Invicta can put up a pillar where they can't escape, and it's going to be a hassle to run around, so they just have to cut their losses.
I think they know that Sean is all alone here on the bottom side. They decide to call it off. MGS, they don't really want to risk these fights at the moment. Despite having that capability to respond to the pressure that's being mounted on them by MVP right now. Look, Sean is just a menace here, okay? Cask comes out, so does that.
No way,
Dude,
this gets healed up.
Sean's just auto-attacking it all back up, but silver lining here, Sean's getting forced a little bit down to half health now. And they're getting the damage done into these turrets. Eventually, MVP is going to get these down with the enhanced range of the cannon minions. But I like it. MVP is approaching this with so much respect for MGS. They know that these are still the seasoned veterans of MGS that are as mechanically gifted as them. And despite having the Baron buff, they're not really pressured to push up and claim these turrets right now, because they know that they have the late game security either way. They know they have the Kale still up and running. And, well, Sean still has one item to be completed, and I believe that's going to be the Zonya's Hourglass. So maybe they're just waiting for that one final item for them to secure that lifeline on Sean, so to speak. And then perhaps they're going to go for a fight.
I do like how Sean has been playing the split push, where he periodically goes back. Even now, when he doesn't have the Baron buff. Of course, when you have the Baron buff, you can go back to that escort minion wave. Now that it's just about gone, he's making MGS second guess, right?
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna push in this wave. They send someone to respond to it, and then he backs off because there's nothing to be gained from just straight up like poking around between Shadow Blitz and Sean. So they make MGS second guess. Okay, is Sean here? Is Sean still here waiting around the wings, or is he already rotating so he can save his teleport for like a really big play elsewhere? So that, I do have to commend the vision control here for MGS. They have for the past few minutes, they have been able to mount a very good defensive line of vision wards. Or control wards, sorry, I'm showing my age, of control wards to ensure that their bot side is a little bit safer. But MVP right now is kind of choking them out with 7k gold ahead. The Cloud Soul actually doesn't matter too much. The stacks are helpful in letting them respond to pressure with out-of-combat move speed, but the Cloud Soul itself is really only seen when a full 5v5 team fight happens, where MGS can kind of use the Kaisa and the Victor to kind of play a fighting retreat, like back off while kiting with the Victor lasers and Defsu's spells and auto attacks. And it seems like MVP is avoiding that exact situation. They're not letting them use the thing that they traded for Baron. They're not letting MGS use the Cloud Soul that they traded for the towers, the global gold that MVP caught by taking the towers. And they're just really choking MVP out here until they can find an opportune moment where they can go for the juggler completely.
Yeah, but the thing though, Byron, is the more I look at it, the more I look at MGS's composition, the more I think that MVP is honestly at the upper hand towards these later game fights. Because take a look at their damage stats here. What can they bank on if they don't have Death Suit and early? Not much. And here comes Explosive Cast to try and deter the aggression. But Shadow Blitz is just turned up. Zonius is going to buy him a little bit of time. But that's the only thing it buys. And going back to my point earlier here, Hiron, when either Irely or Deftsu falls for that matter, will they have enough damage to sustain these fights? Because I honestly don't think so. And especially with Shadow Blitz going down right there, that's a massive disengaged ability that they have, or engage for that matter. But again, secured objectives here. Baron getting secured by MGS. We started by MGS and MVP looking for the Elder, but MVP looking to end things right now. MGS, can they weather the storm? Because if the fight breaks through, MVP surely gonna win it now.
I like how MVP made that call. It wasn't flashy, right? But they were like, okay, screw Baron. Let's just get Elder. Because they know that with open inhibs, with the turrets already pushed to the brink here, they could just go straight for a fight and use the Elder Drake execute in their favor here and just close out the game, prevent MGS from mounting a counter attack here. But we have reached the 40-minute mark. This is the world that we live in now. This is the durability patch that we have been living in now. And MVP, they're not letting MGS use their Baron buff proactively. They're forcing them to just use it to make sure that their waves are just barely pushed. Meanwhile, MVP is starting to poke them out, knocking on their turret doors here. It's gonna be only a matter of time until MVP pulls the trigger. They have the capability to dive if they want to with the Divine Judgment, but it seems like they're satisfied. They're letting loose to capture, right? They're not, because if they mount like a desperate, if they mount a sure siege upon MGS, it might cost MGS to do something desperate. But sometimes you have to let loose in order to capture. You know, make sure that your opponent thinks that they still have an out somewhere instead of like a final stand where they can get something big. So here MVP slowly but surely by the book showing that they are real contenders in this Alliance game season.
Exactly. MVP, they're permitting this space for MGS because I feel like they're letting MGS walk in. Like in the same way your Shadow Blitz was punished earlier, you're making MGS think that they can do that. But the moment they do, the moment they step out of these gates, you know for sure that MVP is going to be lying in wait. I mean, Sean's constantly split pushing down in the bottom side, finally going to recall, and I think that's gonna be the reset for the LG buff. That's gonna go out in just a few seconds, I believe. So after just a few minutes of it going back and forth here, MVP gonna have to fight it up against MGS with, well, sheer mechanics, right? Sheer execution. And at this point, it's been a while since we've had a full-on fight. And it's getting to the point where the gold lead doesn't matter anymore, right? Because
6 items on Sean.
Items, yeah, exactly. Sean completed those items so early on already that at this point, MVP might not be expecting a damage output for MGS anymore.
That's the real clincher here at this stage in the game. 43 minutes. A lot of them have full items already, but I think there's like a silver lining here where if a lot of people have 6 items already, then who only has 4 or 5 items, right? That's where the difference is made. And at this point here, MVP, they have oh no, Warfihi.
Def2 looking for the 1 versus 1. Gonna trigger that resurrect up, and that's gonna secure the kill because his teammate is right around the corner. That's Collegiate. Valiant effort on the punish there for Def2, but here comes another. Not enough damage though. Shadow Blitz on that full AP build. Really working out so far.
White staff in 12.10 by the way.
A little bit more time here. MVP, they're going to back off, and Sean, well, he's just gonna farm up these minions. He's already at the 400 CS mark. He wants to go for 500.
Definitely. I do think that MVP struggling to finish this is emblematic of 2 things, right? One, MGS is holding out. They have the experience to it may be a completely different like meta with the durability patch and everything but their experience shines through, and that they're not doing anything rash or reckless, and they're just okay. If we get it to 6 items, fine, let's get it to 6 items. Let's get our Kaisa and our Victor to that point, right? But for MVP, it's also showing me that maybe they're hesitating a little bit. They're trying to find the opportunity that's perfect when they might not be going for opportunities that are good enough, right? They're looking for the perfect opportunity, not just a good enough opportunity, which does say that they're patient, but also might say that might also mean that they're having trouble finding which opportunity is good enough without the trade-off of being too risky.
Exactly. That's key there. They have to find those moments. Else, MGS is going to find it for them. And the state of the game, honestly, right now is whoever wins a single fight is going to win the entire game. But we've seen both of these teams really commit those sort of mistakes that, well, both of them have already capitalized on. We saw earlier how Shadow Blitz overextended, and then we saw how Dwarfihi almost got punished 2 times in a row for getting a little bit far forward. And both teams realistically just waiting for the next objective once more, and that's the Elder and the Baron. And both of them going to spawn up in, I believe, exactly the same time, in about a minute or so. And MVP already up in that red side jungle for MGS. They really want to assert that vision right now. Stepping up a little bit here, a little bit of a danger territory as again Invicta steps a little bit too far forward.
Okay, going
and
for
here
fight.
comes Sean, ults in for that Divine Judgment, and he's just shut down immediately. There comes the damage output from the Kaiser. They're gonna stun Collegiate, and now the 2 members down for the count for an MVP. And that just might be it. They might secure the Elder off of that.
Kind of a yikes right there. I do think that even with the level, okay, Crony trying to make it happen.
Crony trying to put matters into his own hands from the back line. The body slum gets them both. They both go golden, but that's just 1 HP left. And here comes the Kaisa with the killer instinct, murdering them all 1 by 1 as she goes in for the jugular. And there goes the shutdown for the Akali. The Lucian is coming up next. So now he gets stunned up as well, but actually going to survive that. But now MGS looking for the Elder Drake, and this is an opportunity for them to end the game now.
Could be. They do have enough members. It's really up to Shadow Blitz to make sure that Dwarfihi doesn't get the recall to delay him as much as possible. But
go.
perfectly placed barrel with the even with the exhaust, he's still able to take him down. So they get both Elder and Baron off of this. What a sloppy moment from MVP. Like Sean gets a little bit overzealous, goes in 1v4 with a premature Divine Judgment on him. Means that without any backup, MGS can just wait out the Divine Judgment and then take out all their damage once the invulnerability is gone. Very, very sloppy. I have no other words to describe it as other than overconfident and sloppy. They got a little bit antsy not being able to end the game within the past 5 minutes. Seems like they tried to make a call, and then they tried to respond with that failed call with another failed team fight from Crony as well, trying to jump in. And now MGS, they have now realized, okay, we have the damage to fight this. We can shred through MVP with Depsu and Eerily, and now they're knocking on MVP's doors with both a Baron buff and the Elder, and it's going to be very difficult for them to mount a defense against this. They're going to have to be, okay, MGS is not playing any games. They're going straight for the jugular, not even going for side lanes, straight to the Nexus turrets here with their big wave, with their comp here. And they take it. It's going to be the calling here to try and force the retreat from MGS. There seems like they're waiting for the next wave here. They're not playing. They're not going for side lanes. They just want this straight up. End the game before 50 minutes pass. And MVP, what defense can they mount against MGS knocking on their doors? Fight might start very soon. That's a pillar.
All of the members are up and running, but the Elder Jake is just so painful here. Here comes the execute, but look at the damage! The rampage goes through for Depsu, and here comes everything else to follow suit. The health bars are slowly dissipating away with Sean so far up into the back line. Red Shirt gets destroyed, but hold up! MVP looking for the answer. Back there looking for the response. The answer is going to be MGS just paving away at that Nexus. And there you have it, MGS, they're going to be moving on deeper into the playoffs, and MVP gets sent off into the lower bracket.
Wow, that's exactly the situation that Kwandong Freaks and Hanwha Life Game 1 in LCK Summer started us out with, where they had a pretty good run. They delayed the game until they got 6 item, level 18 Kale, and the Kale is just not enough of an X factor against the Kaisa. Just the sheer like I said, by the book power of the comp that MGS built up. We were thinking, okay, Gearhawks, they're gonna finish the game anytime now. Anytime now. And we did that for 5 minutes. Anytime now, until they got impatient. Sean went in 1v4 and they got absolutely obliterated, which cost them both Elder Drake at that, and Baron with a flick of a sleeve. Man, MGS shows that they are the wizards in town. They are the ones that control the magic. And with a good showing here, and in I think all of the casters predicted MVP because they beat LG.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was because they beat LG in the play-ins, but now MGS, kind of a crouching tiger, hidden dragon situation here, where it wasn't spectacular, we had a pretty quote unquote easy play-in stage. So we go into playoffs with not a lot of energy expended, and Mages, they came out on top for this, and they sent Gearhawks MVP down onto the lower bracket, where I believe they will be facing next week. They will be facing. There we go. They will be facing LPU. Wait, no. They will be facing whoever the loser is later, or whoever the winner is later of Pylon, Ypsilos, and Teletigers Haze.
Yeah, and apart from the Sean shenanigan, that was pretty unfortunate. Let's use that word. I would have to say MVP really struggled on closing that game. There were so many opportunities for them to just pull the trigger, but they, for some reason, hesitated. And at that point, MGS, they were just slowly building their ground, and they were like, hold up, we can actually take fights now. And the moment they did, the moment Sean stepped up a little bit beyond the nest there, it was just immediately the collapse, the downfall of Gearhawks from there on out. That MGS Mages, they just punished them. That's basically all they did. They punished Tron, they punished the rest of the members of Gearhawks, and they got both the Elder and the Baron, and that's it. That was the game. That's just the first game of the day as well, folks. Stay tuned because we'll be having game number 2 up next. That's NEU Paradigm Verendus versus UPD Oblation Esports coming up next. If you're just tuning in, my name is Zainam Casting here today with Hyron. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
It's been 3 years since AcadArena started. Today isn't just a celebration of our anniversary, it's a celebration of everyone who supported us along the way. We've had students who grew up with AcadArena, myself being one of them. We know what it's like to balance work and studies, and we know what it's like to feel like you're not going to make it. But you will, and it'll all be better. Break through with us.
This is Filippo.
This is Jessica.
Parehong freshies, parehong gamers. Gusto ni Filippo maging next big caster.
Si Jessica naman wants to make the biggest esports tournament in their campus.
But they don't know where to start.
They're also from different campuses
in different parts of the Philippines.
They would have never met. If not
for AcadArena.
In AcadArena, we help students meet, collaborate, and learn all the hype and wonder ng gaming at esports.
Dito, naging caster si Filippo, even just for that afternoon. He met students with the same dream, attended our workshop, and we funded a tournament where they can debut.
That was Jessica's tournament. Inorganize niya ito with a student club in her campus na ginabayan namin all the way. And that's how they met. That's what we do here in AcadArena.
We turn gamers into leaders, casters, breadwinners. AcadArena is not just play.
Outside the game, I'd have a hard time making decisions and just go through life without any direction really. But when I'm in the game and as captain of the team, I have to make confident split-second decisions to lead our team and give us that direction we need to win the game.
I got my self-confidence when I become a radio jock for the university, and it basically developed my self-confidence to speak out loud to many people out there.
As an ate, you're supposed to know what to do. Minsan, parang hindi na pwedeng magkamali. Kasi ate ka dapat you serve as an example for the younger ones. But as a student leader, that was not the case for me. I was allowed to make mistakes, learn, and do better. Just like how we encourage you, our Telecoms, to wear your stripes.
The community that we've built across the world have given us a place to belong. As the world becomes more connected, the opportunities will reach all corners of the world. I'm so excited to bring campus gaming across Southeast Asia.
Esports and gaming can be a great equalizer. Here, your physique doesn't matter too much. Your sex and gender shouldn't matter. You have an avatar. You're just you and all the awesomeness that comes with it. It matters less which part of the world you're in. The world is bigger, and there's so much we can do together in gaming and esports. You just need to meet the right people to change the world.
In AcadArena, I broke through solo queue and became a team player.
In AcadArena, I broke through my comfort zone and became more social.
In AcadArena, I break through my hardship and become more confident.
In AcadArena, I was able to break through my shy and timid self and turn into a student leader, kinda.
In AcadArena, before I was lost, but because of the org, I was able to find my passion.
Happy birthday, AcadArena. Continue breaking through the stigma of video games and academics.
Happy birthday to AcadArena. We look forward to all the great work you guys will be doing in the coming years.
Happy birthday, AcadArena. We hope you continue to support our industry and break the stereotypes of how student gamers can be.
Pinoys continue to dominate in esports globally. This startup aims to keep the streak going and provide education for those eyeing a gaming career. AcadArena secured over 170 million pesos for their projects. We get to know more about their initiatives with a young...
It's still crazy to think that it's been 3 years since AcadArena started. Today isn't just a celebration of our anniversary, it's a celebration of everyone who supported us along the way. We've had students who grew up with AcadArena, myself being one of them. We know what it's like to balance work and studies, and we know what it's like to feel like you're not gonna make it. But you will, and it'll all be better. Break through with us.
This is Filippo.
This is Jessica.
Parehong freshies, parehong gamers. Gusto ni Filippo maging next big caster.
Si Jessica naman wants to make the biggest esports tournament in their campus.
But they don't know where to start.
They're also from different campuses
In different parts of the Philippines.
they would have never met. If not,
For AcadArena.
In AcadArena, we help students meet, collaborate, and learn all the hype and wonder ng gaming at esports.
Dito, naging caster si Filippo, even just for that afternoon. He met students with the same dream, attended our workshop, and we funded a tournament where they can debut.
Welcome back, folks. You are still watching the Alliance Games featuring League of Legends, of course, co-presented by Globe. We saw just one match earlier that was... Man, what a match that was. Went the whole 9 yards. The 2 Elder Drakes and 2 Barons. Actually, was that 2 or 3 Barons getting taken? I'm not even sure. But gives you an idea of, well, the lengths we went through just to have a winner emerge that first game. That was MGS Mages.
Yeah, and then right now we are going to have NEU Paradigm versus UPD Oblation Esports here. This is going to be awesome as well. Paradigm Verendus, their roster I think is pretty solid. Looking at our what's here? They have if they were their play-in stage was they played against a lot of other New Alliance orgs as well. They played against Golden Lion Esports, which was CPU, which is like one of the teams from like the Iloilo area that I was also waiting for, but I'm actually surprised that they're not here in the playoffs here. At least I would have wanted to see some Iloilo representation as well from Golden Lions, maybe San Agustin Golden Eagles as well. They did beat Makiling Esports and Exceed Warriors as well. Meanwhile, Oblation Esports, they were able to defeat Roman Con Gaming Vipers, another up-and-coming team that I was looking forward to. Golden Galleons and LPU Pirates, who is in our lower bracket. Now they were able to defeat them as well, and I do think this roster from Oblation has a lot of potential. Hashtag no bias from Hyron. I think it's possibly their biggest chance in the past few years to live up to the glory days that they had when Neep and Iconic were playing as well, when Veer was on the play. That's like a century ago at this point, right? Meanwhile, Paradigm Verendus, they've got a pretty solid composition. The roster as well. It's really the question of whether these new names can really live up to the expectations and pave a new way, pave a new path, and trailblaze forward NEU Paradigm org in the League of Legends space. So Really looking forward to all of this as well. We got our players on cams as well, just for you guys, see what they're like right before the game.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned this might be,
Mhm.
could be the return of Oblation Esports. Because when was the last time we actually saw them get into playoffs like these? Like, as you mentioned, 5, 6 years ago. I believe around the same time that Dash, when he was still playing competitively. Shout outs to
Oh
my
my
boy,
lord.
Dash.
It's like, okay. It looks like we're majoring in archaeology here.
Just a bit of a backstory here, because it's fun. It makes me realize the world is small. Anyway, back to my story. So it was then he was playing for the collegiate team of UPLB. It's now
UPLB.
Makiling Esports, right?
Mhm.
And those were also the glory days, I believe, of UPLB. They were
Mhm.
one of the best collegiate teams, as far as I can
Yeah.
recall. But the same, I guess, could be said about Paradigm Verendus. I mean, ever since they've come out, they've been coming out of the gate swinging. They've been looking pretty solid for the better part of what, 2 years now, with a very exact same composition, I believe. So um if I were to cast my predictions between these two teams, I'd say it's a 50-50 between them right now.
Yeah. I mean, Paradigm, this is pretty much like the Battle of Commonwealth, diba? Like magkaharap lang
Yeah.
halos.
Yeah.
These two teams, these two schools rather, are kind of neighboring. They rarely interact directly, but now in the alliance games is like one of those times where they do get to fight it out. And Paradigm Verendus is here, as you said, coming out swinging as well. So I think we just need to confirm our draft a little bit as well. As yeah, speaking of Makiling Esports from earlier, right?
Mm.
Well, we'll talk about that some other time or later as we get into the draft here. Immediate bans here onto a lot of focus here on like mages, right?
Yeah.
Like all across the board. Karthus is a respect ban. Lilia, I think actually, despite the adjustments to her in 12.10, I still think that she's very, very powerful just because everyone's so much more durable. Of course, Vladimir, Zeri, Swain, very solid bans, which do leave some crucial picks open.
Yeah.
Wukong is open as well. Volibear has been rising in popularity a little bit. Like I think at least in like any LCS academy, I've seen Volibear a couple times. But if it's gonna be the Jace, I would prefer the Jace for top side. But they could pick up the Viego, could go for the jungle, could go for could go for the jungle here instead of going for the top laner.
Yeah.
But once again, this leaves a lot of popular picks open here.
Mhm.
Gwen, despite the 12.11 nerfs, still very, very potent. If not, you can like with Gangplank out of the picture, you can pick up the Fiora. The junglers are also very, very powerful and left open here for Oblation Esports. So it's gonna be the Fiddlesticks. It's gonna be the pickup here. Interesting.
Interesting.
I have not seen Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, in a hot minute. I agree with you there. But looking at the bands and the couple of picks that we are seeing right now, these are very, very interesting bands and picks. Not a lot of, I would say, as you mentioned, the most prioritized in the competitive scene right now, such as the junglers. Wukong earlier got banned, got priority banned, but now Braum
like
comes out.
open.
Yeah, Wukong and Viego as well. So I wonder who's gonna be getting that earlier here. But the Volibear, yeah, it's not something that we see every day anymore, especially because of the durability patch. Volibear is one of those champions that didn't necessarily benefit from the durability patch. Sorry, I'm still finding trouble saying durability patch. Durability patch, because well, the same is true for a lot of these tanks, right? But now Morgana comes out as well. So far, I am trying to wrap my head around what the plan here for both these teams, and I guess I'll
If
have to
they're
see
picking
more.
Morgana,
Yeah.
they're really playing around the carry, right?
I guess.
If it's
Yeah.
gonna be Saya has been a much better has been in a much better spot than before. Has been seeing a lot more play, especially with the crit build, getting a lot more love in the previous patches, even before durability patch. and I do think it's still not as popular as like Lucian with or Callista with a really powerful engaged support here, but Sivir, okay. They already have the core of their composition. Oblation Esports knows what draft they want.
Yeah.
They have the Fiddlesticks, speed it up with the Severe, and no one can escape. Even with the severely nerfed healing from champions from the Fiddlesticks suck at level 5. It went from like 70 to like 55. That's a huge hit. But this could still be, they could be focusing more on the fear and the Crowstorm aspect than the sustain aspect here. Meanwhile, for Paradigm Verendus, I'm eyeing this Morgana. If you pick Morgana, it has to be for a reason, right?
Yeah.
It's like Tom Kench, where you need something specific in mind for you to pick it.
Oh, you know what? Actually, perhaps, and I don't wanna call it before it comes out because these are all a little bit off meta. So I don't wanna put what my tiny League of Legends analyst brain is going so well with the Morgana. But one of the things that I love playing with in Earth in particular is Morgana with a Talia. Because the moment you get the Dark Binding off, you get a free knock up into the field, right? So that's an instantly, yeah, it's fairly lethal. But I don't think we're gonna be seeing it right here unless. But here we go.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
The
UPD
bans are
still
still coming through.
UPD still has to round up their composition with still no top laner for them. So just looking at the pattern, maybe they're gonna go for something like a Kled here, just to double down on that full on horsing in, I would like to say. But at this point, I'm just making guesses, man.
Okay. They're picking up the Akali as well. So a lot of the strength from this team is really going to be on whether this Akali snowballs. And when the Akali snowballs, they can start diving. Even with the stronger turrets, they can start diving with the On the Hunt here, with Paeng on the Fiddlesticks. It's really going to be about what their top lane is going to be. And if I were to, it's kind of everything's kind of out of the off the rails here at this point. But I think Gwen still benefits a lot from the On the Hunt. They could go crazy and
yeah,
they should go crazy and go like Wukong top side instead of on the jungle here against the Aatrox. I do think it's a pretty decent matchup that they can go for, but it seems that it's very clear that Paradigm Verendus is going for a really traditional team fighting comp here with the Lissandra, with a Morgana Zaya. Meanwhile, Oblation Esports, they could be looking for, okay, if they do lock this in. I did mention that the top lane, Tom Kench, is a possibility in the 12.11. If they pull this out, I'd be very excited. Okay, it's going to be Wukong. I called it. I did call it.
Yeah, I mean, we were expecting it to be.
Really good.
We're expecting it to be a first pick, not the last. But
yeah, but we did call that with the Severe, the Wukong's potential is like up there.
Yeah, exactly. Cyclone, a semi-recent rework on the Wukong makes the Cyclone just so much better. Instantly propelled Wukong to the meta, especially now in durability patch. He's so good in the jungle in particular. Now in the top lane, almost as good as that. I mean, he essentially played the same, in the same style, just with a little less, I guess, presence around the map because you're just stuck towards the top side for the most part. But yeah, pretty interesting draft here for both of our teams. Fiddlesticks is going to be an interesting thing to watch. It's quite the refresher for me, at least, who hasn't seen a Fiddlesticks in about a year,
forever,
or two. So, let's take a look at let's theory craft a little bit on the playstyles that's going to be here for both these teams. Paradigm Verendus, they really want to go for those team fights, right? They have a lot of CC,
solid,
so much CC here, a lot of damage too. And for Oblation, they have a pretty good team fighting as well, yes. But the main thing here for them is they want to be really proactive. They want to be the ones to be pulling those triggers.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I liked Oblation Esports Esports back in the day as well.
Mm.
Right, once again, digging up the archaeological dig site here, and also one of the reasons why I liked LG Esports in their prime, especially NCO season 2 and 3. 3 they won championships, but I liked them before. Hipster, but it's more than just a comp. It's a concept, right? And the core of the concept here is speed. It's like a car crash. Oblation Esports comp here wants to come at you like a car crash. With the On the Hunt, you just get run over by the Cyclone, by the Crow Storm, and during all the chaos, Draco Caesar is like assassinating priority targets left and right. He's gonna have a little bit of trouble because of the Feather Storm as well as the Frozen Tomb from the Zaya and the Lissandra respectively, but he is going to be able to find some one way or another. Meanwhile, Paradigm Verendus, it's a very solid comp, but I would say that it doesn't have. It's just that it's a solid team fighting comp. With a lot of stopping potential, like with the snare and the ulti from the Lysandra, as well as the area control that the feathers give with the Feather Storm, with the root and the burst damage that it could give. It's a solid team fighting comp, but it's not as clear as Oblation Esports having that rush down run over comp that they built here.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to give it an analogy, Paradigm Verendus' composition is more of like a Swiss knife, right? It's so good at achieving so many things, in particular team fighting. They can engage for the most part. They can also disengage with the Lysandra, but they can't really do what Oblation Esports comp can do in that one specific way, which is they can just go in and go. More like their composition is more of like a heavy axe, and there's it's so good at I want to say chopping down massive chunks of wood, and in this case massive chunks of wood means going in and splitting up the entire team in half, and that's what Oblation Esports composition can accomplish. They can go in, and when they do, they're not gonna stop.
It's like that saying, right? I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. And that is this comp right here. That's the difference between these comps. But, of course, Paradigm Verendus, they still have this solid comp. If they can execute it better than Oblation Esports, then, of course, the win goes to them. And there's like man proposes, heaven disposes kind of deal here, where as good as the concept from Oblation Esports here, if the cards are not in their favor and if they don't play the cards they're dealt right, Paradigm Verendus, with just how solid and raw power that the Verendus comp has, they can overpower the Oblation Esports with one wrong move, one wrong execution, one wrong shot call. And it's just going to be the test here for whether Oblation Esports can live up to the hype for making it to playoffs.
Yeah, here's the thing though. I'm a little bit worried about. Don't get me wrong. I like the composition of Oblation Esports, but I'm a little bit worried that if they start falling behind, what else is there to do? Because once you're behind and you start engaging these fights, there's not really a lot. It's not gonna work out as well as you'd hope, or at least expect it to. At least when you're behind, that is. So Oblation Esports, they really have to come out of the gate swinging to make this composition work. In that sense, their comp is more of an all or nothing type of scenario, where if you don't get ahead, they are just going to straight up lose. Meanwhile, for Paradigm, they have that versatility, have so many tools to bank on, and in that sense, I feel like they have the more safe composition, and in that sense, all they really have to do is just disengage, play safe, and that's fairly not the hardest of tasks to accomplish, unless, like I said, unless Oblation Esports make it hard for Paradigm.
Yeah, and that seems to be how the battlefield has been laid out, has been painted by me and Datum, right? It is all up to these two teams to execute their plans, employ their stratagems and their tactics, and come out on top. Because like we said, it is a best of one for today. Next week is also going to be best of one. And it is a double elimination bracket, but you don't want to lose your chance. You want to at least have a backup life, like a second life, if you will, an extra life, if you will, to have that kind of safety net when you get kicked down. But with this kind of format, they're going to have to give it their all and pull out all the stops here. I think we're going to be loading into the game very, very soon here. We'd just like to give a shout out to our sponsors and partners. Of course, Alliance Games is co-presented by Telecom and, of course, powered by Logitech G. And looks like our Paradigm squad gonna get seen here, gonna get sussed out like the sussy Bakas that they are out of this bot lane. Didn't seem like they were gonna find anything anyway, but 10 gold from the ward. That's the diff maker.
Yeah. Quick reminder to everyone watching at home, we have 2 current giveaways ongoing. Just anytime during this broadcast, tweet using the hashtag AllG and get a chance to win 300 pesos worth of RP. And also, we have a weekend pass ticket giveaway for Conquest. Just share the stream on Facebook, and at the end, we will choose 5 viewers who will be lucky enough to get a free
And you don't want to miss that.
ticket. Yeah.
You don't want to miss Conquest 2022. What could be the biggest video game and esports convention that we have in the past year? In the Philippines, you're going to have the finalists for all our Alliance games as well. We're going to have different booths. They have like merch booths. We have booths for our Alliance orgs are all going to be there as well. Just going there, enjoying everything. Favorite gaming and esports personalities. Like I know a lot of you guys are fans of Kaide. A lot of you guys are fans of. I'm personally waiting for Michael Reeves. Michael. And there's also a lot of different programs and activities for all kinds of gamers. Even if you're not interested in esports, there's a lot for you to do in Conquest. So just go to facebook.com/conquestphl for the official Facebook page. As we get into the game here, there's just a normal trades coming through in the early game as well. I do think that Kaito is favored in this level 1 matchup just because he's so up in your face and can get out, right? So the trade goes is like for the first two Darkened Blades, Kaito goes in with Nimbus Strike, and when the third one, where you don't want to be up close, he just Warrior Tricksters out, right? That's usually how the trade goes. So Scourge has to think twice before doing his full combo in lane because it's not doing him any favors.
And it's working out so well so far for Kaido. Look at top sides, full health on Kaido. Scourge down to around 40%, not having the best times in this laning phase. But here's one of the things though that you need to note when you're fighting up against the Fiddlesticks. He can clear those camps real quickly. Look, he's already done a full clear, looking for perhaps a gank down in the top side, but I imagine not really because that's pretty deep where Scourge is, and I feel like they're about to meet contact right there, both junglers, but our faces are showing. Hi guys.
Yeah. Actually, I just noticed that we have the same white background. We have the same like black top. We have the same like curly hair with like this weird Clark Kent swirl.
Mine is like an L.
We both have glasses. It's like we're clones of each other. Just with a camera going to us, that just made me notice it all the more. But yeah, early game, it's really going to depend on how the junglers play this, no? And both of these junglers aren't really the same types that we see that really farm up, get level 6, and then dominate when Drake and really shine when Drake start. It's Volibear and Fiddlesticks who actually do have a measure of ganking, a big measure of ganking potential, much more than the real meta junglers. So we're gonna have to see how the ganks pan out. Ganks a little bit harder to execute because of the durability patch, but then it all comes down to who is able to respond better to the threats presented to them.
Oh yeah. There we go though. Again, First Blood actually making its way into the top side of things. So Paeng really did go for that early gank towards Scourge, who I believe was turret dove, he used the flash, but Kaido and Paeng able to secure that First Blood. Fortunately weren't able to show that on screen. But here we go again. Topside matchup here being showcased a lot. And look at this wave from Scourge. It is, yeah, it's pretty bad for him right now. It's gonna get shoved into that top tier 1 for Kaido, and he can just set up a freeze, and it's all done and dandy for him. lane's so hard for Scorch to bounce back from.
Oh, well, he is ahead, but not for long, just because of the wave has been pushed up. He is kind of asserting his dominance here. Scourge is making sure that Kaito doesn't feel like this lane is a comfy lane. So he's pushed up to the turret. He has some priority here if ever PDG wants to do something with Rocco. On the top side, they do have some defensive wards on as well. Go for the recall, force Kaido to delay his own recall as well. Maybe miss a couple CCS here and there. Trades didn't pan out the way he'd like after the first backs with the TP. But maybe Kaito can pull it back after this wave.
Here we go, the stun comes in and forces out the W from Draco Caesar. Really getting the first perfect execution now, so might be looking for the execute here with Rocco up and about. Can go for the dive, but Rocco is just not level 6 as of yet. And with Infernal Drake getting spawned up now, both junglers are going to shift priority towards the bottom side of the map, I would think so.
That's why another thing why Lissandra's been pretty good recently, no? It's because tower dives are so much riskier. Having a way to mitigate that risk is so good, and the Frozen Tomb gives all of that. And that's really how the matchup really goes. Like Draco Caesar kind of just takes the L for the first 5 minutes of the game. Not too hard, like just behind like 1 or 2 waves. But once the first few items are built up, Draco Caesar should find their groove, especially when the Drake fights start. That's when Draco Caesar can find the targets.
Rocco being the first jungler here to make his way towards that Drake side. And this is pretty expected because you would... Not really the best at securing these Drakes is the Fiddlesticks, but Root coming in for arcs. And yeah, a bit of scuffles coming across the map here. Nobody full committing onto these sites. And again, this is just the state of the game here for the most part. With the off-meta junglers that we have right now, as you said, it's a little bit harder to execute these ganks, which is why, hey, why don't we just not gank as of yet, which both of these junglers are doing right now. Instead, Iteration is getting to that point where both of our mid laners are slowly getting that avenue to roam across the map. But spot Rocco up here, trying to secure those Raptors. Shuriken connects. Perfect execution is ready, so he's going to use it defensively there because the Frozen Tomb was available. So a bit of a fight. Nobody going down as of yet.
Yeah, at that point, there's not really a point to risk it. Goes for the perfect execution. At least it's not the flash, right? So, Silver Linings, PDG sees this as a moment of weakness. Maybe they can try and get something back since Pa-Eng did try and steal Rocco's blue buff as well. But no big objectives being taken just yet. And I think Pa-Eng really did a good job of taking advantage of that, of how, okay, maybe Drake's up. PDG might be inclined to try and take Infernal Drake, which is a pretty good first Drake to take. Very good long-term investment. Instead went for the blue buff. And at this point, though, the vision control from PDG has been... the reason why ganks haven't really happening from Pa-Eng is that the vision control is just so good from NU so far. They have this control ward deep in the red side jungle of Oblation Esports has been giving them so much intel. Like just there, they saw, okay, the Arcs is here, their support is here. How do we respond with this? Are we to continue this Rift Herald? They can answer that question better because they have that control ward that deep. They are able to secure it, and they are able to prepare ahead of time. Scourge playing a little bit more safely, a little bit more behind there since he knows that Arcs is right around the corner. Meanwhile, Speckles is satisfied matching that roam from Arcs. Nothing big just yet happening, but it has to be the Drake, right? The Drake has to be a turning point.
Yeah. Not a lot of priority to it as of yet. Seems like NEU wants to be the first one to make their way there. Still asserting their vision control here, but they are a little bit behind in terms of gold. Just shy of 1,000 behind here as they start up the Infernal Drake. Is Oblation going to contest this? It seems like not.
Doesn't
at all.
seem like it.
Pa-Eng is all the way across the map on the other side of things, and they see him because of that ward you were talking about. They know exactly where Pa-Eng is, and
how long is this ward gonna last?
They secure the Infernal.
That's the question. Yeah, PDG has been playing with relatively not perfect, close to perfect information here, which has informed a lot of their decisions in the past few minutes. That ward has quite a lot of value. Their control wards around river as well have not been cleared for quite some time in the dot rushes top side and bottom side. So NEU so far doing a good job of defending their assets because they know OBE, the Oblation Esports, once they reach level 6, level 7, they're gonna perhaps they might be wanting to go for aggressive plays, perhaps some dives, but with PDG locking the information network down, this does mean that OB is going to have to take more risks than they might want, and which is why they're not really going for anything big here.
Yeah.
It's not that they strictly need to, but it's what the comp would want, ideally.
And a lot of this, I want to say, river control is permitted by Iteration just constantly having that mid priority, always shoving up the lanes, always has a little bit more options when it comes to roaming, and he's even got more CS right now, and that's just the state of this mid lane matchup. It's still at that point where Draco Caesar can fight. Or is there ever going to be a point where Draco Caesar can straight up 1v1 Iteration? I don't think so. The Iteration is just going to Frozen Tomb or just stun him up and then use that E to slowly, or rather quickly, run away. Here comes Paeng down in the bottom side, looking for kills instead. He's already level 8, 2 levels above that level 6 mark. He does get that power spike, but Predator not going to be called upon. So again, it's the reset, and so far, I would say that Rako really has been having a better time because of that ward. Now it's finally gone, so...
Yeah, finally, after so long. But in the end, he does get it. And looking at it now, yeah, Draco Caesar building the Sork boots first. Okay, maybe a fight. No, so he's gonna back off here. And I like how Speckles has been moving. Both of his supports have been very proactive here with how they rotate. They've been rotating well. They haven't gotten any big plays, but that just goes to show how well these two, Arcs and Speckles, have been playing around each other, especially with the information that they're given. With the vision kind of neutralized on the side of PDG here, now that you have mostly defensive wards here, maybe OBE can make something happen, but with... okay, fine. Hovering around top side here, maybe make something happen. Wouldn't recommend a dive against an Aatrox, even with a nerfed sustain, but perhaps waiting for a counter gank here when Rako tries to help out his buddy, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. Once again, 12 minutes with only 1 kill. Kaito with the Cyclone, Datum.
Comes out, here comes the Crow Storm, and that's immediately follow through coming in. Scourge not even using that flash. Done for there with the instant ulti from both of them. And now Kako looking for the unstoppable. Here comes the stun into the flash, and Paeng can't even find the fear to save his own life as the channel comes through for the healing. But now that's nerfed, buddy. It's not really a lot of healing anymore. Kaito, though, in a bit of trouble. A little bit overzealous there as Iteration look to secure the kill. But luckily enough, he does have the flash to stay alive for now. So that's a quick 1-for-1.
Could have been a 1-for-2 here, but Draco Caesar coming in as well for the execute. Goes for the Zhonya's. Gotta go denied, but the execution.
Yeah, perfect execution. Gets that kill onto the top laner. Now Rako is in trouble. So is Scourge. It's 4 versus 1 here right now. Of course, he is that Aatrox, so can offer these fights. Speckle's there to help him. But can they secure the kill onto Arcs? Exhaust comes out. Caesar, will he survive this? Dark Binding is not gonna let him at all. But thankfully, Smoke Screen's gonna come off cooldown soon enough. And that's a 1-for-2 now in favor actually of Oblation.
Yeah, that truly could have been a better fight here for PDG, but it seems like Oblation Esports, they were like just one step ahead, barely one step ahead in that fight, where PDG, okay, we were able to trade back 1 kill. Okay, so here's coming onto this replay here, Arcs playing just so well in this backline. He kind of sacrifices his life at this point, getting rooted for like 5 years after that, getting knocked up, and at that point kind of goes down. But the way that Oblation Esports played this was that, okay, we're gonna send 1, or we're gonna take 1, they're gonna take 1 back from us, but then we're gonna send more assets, funnel more assets into that area of the map, which will allow us to take even more, which goes for a 2-for-1 trade in the end there.
Here comes Drake spawned up already again. Mountain Drake is up, and can PvP actually secure this? It seems like they will. Racco a little bit more willing to give this one away now, and that's a single turn, just a single call there for Oblation Esports.
Second Herald
on the top side, using that Crow Storm to kill onto Scourge, and now they're gonna trade objectives, Mountain Drake. But I think they have enough time to go for the rotate here. Can they actually contest Racco on this Rift Herald?
That's gonna be a question. I do think with the Rift Herald at what, like 70% HP, it is possible. They have the double time though, and UPD Oblation Esports could make a decision where, okay, walking all the way to Herald is not worth it. Let's just try make something happen bot side or even mid, right? That's a play that they can make, and we'll see how that resolves once we get back into the game. We had a very short pause there. I think one of the players just having some technical issues, going to be fixed hopefully very, very soon. But yeah, it's going to be the question of whether they think walking all the way from Drake Pit all the way to Herald Pit is enough for them to make that decision. They could just like back off. We got the trade. Let's not push our luck here and go for something else that we're sure we're gonna win.
And I feel like if they do decide to pull the trigger on the Rift Herald contest, and EU Paradigm, their players are just a little bit closer when it comes to the positioning, to just the proximity of that Rift Herald, so might not be the best of calls, but it is something that they could opt for because it is a Volibear. It's not really the fastest objective clearing champion in the whole of League of Legends, so that's something they could go for. Oblation Esports, they can pull the trigger. They've been, for the most part, pretty patient for this entire game, but I believe they have the Crow Storm available here. So that's one of the things they could bank on there. Side topic here, Hiron. While we are in the mid game podcast, what are you most excited about for Conquest?
For Conquest?
Yeah, for Conquest.
For me, it really is the finals for all the Alliance games. I've been a caster for AcadArena for so long, right? And in these past like 2 years of pandemic, I really wanted to get back into the esports live event deal, right? And it's been so difficult. That's what I'm really most excited for. Aside from that, it's getting to meet all the people from the communities, all the esports, collegiate esports fans, and of course meeting Michael Reeves. Possibly, maybe.
Did you buy the ticket for
no,
meet and greet?
No, I can actually, for me, it's good enough that I see him from afar. Because I ain't spending money, extra money. But I'm sure a lot of other viewers here. But you fight the bot side,
into the flash, into the exhaust. Spackles uses that shield perfectly, and here comes the in from that Volibear. Root comes through as well, just for some insurance. And Ark's going to go down without any resistance at all.
They pulled out everything there. They pulled out the exhaust, the flash, even a pretty decent glacial fissile there. But the black shield was actually very crucial in considering that kill. Just having one member be able to get ahead, go for the dive. That's gonna be enough here. But it does seem like Slice is gonna go down here possibly. Once the pause resolves. So that's gonna be, that essentially evens out the kills that they lost earlier, and we're just gonna have to see, okay, how does UPD respond to a big L in the bot side, right? Like they might lose tower, they lose 2 members. How are they going to respond to that? And meanwhile, with the Rift Herald being taken, of course, Paradigm Verendus has an answer. If Oblation Esports decides, okay, they're taking bot side, let's make a play mid or top, they have the Rift Herald to apply some pressure to kind of make Oblation Esports second guess their decision coming into that next play. So we'll have to see once the game unpauses. But what about you, Datum? For Conquest, what are you most excited about?
Well, I'm going to Conquest to meet the esports people, like the community, as I mentioned, and well, everyone I've worked with for the past year and a half or so. But also, I'm excited to see what the interaction between Razzie Binks and Lily Pichu is going to be. Because do you remember the last time they met? Do you remember when Razzie Binks did? That was so funny. He was teaching. So here's the thing: if those of you who don't know, when Razzie Binks met Lily Pichu and the rest of OTV people, it was in, I believe, the Arcane premiere, right? So what Razi Binks was doing was he was teaching Lily Peach some Filipino words.
Oh no.
You know where this is going. And Razi Binks said, "Okay, Lily Peach, you say this word, and this word means I love you. It's not. It's not I love.
What a classic! What a classic!
It's not I love you, and it's so funny too because of Lily's voice. It's her voice is.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I wonder.
I'm actually surprised we got so many like high-profile guests for. Not really surprised, more like in awe that we had a lot of like. We even had like Genshin voice actresses as well. I think for Raiden Shogun. So all of these guests, all of these activities as well. Can't wait for Conquest. Gonna be a huge weekend. Definitely a weekend to remember. So you guys just share the stream. Guys, share the stream, and you might get a chance to win a weekend pass. That's for 2 days basically of Conquest. If you're lucky. So get to sharing, guys.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a piece of that pie? It's absolutely free too. You lose nothing out of getting that in the ring, and it's not cheap either. I'm telling you, the tickets are not. If you win them, it's an absolute treat. So make sure you share that stream, and we will announce at the end, I believe, for is it 5 winners for the tickets?
I believe 5.
Yeah, 5 winners.
I like. But going back to the game, I like how I like how the NEU squad has been playing this. They reached their first mythic power spikes here. And in fact, they have second item here for Sunako on this Zaya. The big thing here is like Everfrost for iteration, and the Gourd Drinker for Scourge, right? As well as the and the Chem Tank on Rako will allow them to really go for these engages before OBE is ready. So here, OBE is able to get some back, a little bit of gold deficit here for the side of PDG, but here PDG has been once again doing a good job at their vision. Huh? Look at the wards and see how many blue ones are there and how deep the control wards are. PDG has been a good job. It helps mitigate information, helps mitigate risk. Information allows them to make better aggressive plays where they don't get punished. And here, with the next Drake coming up very, very soon, I don't think Baron is really a factor right now. The next Drake coming soon, PDG is poised to have a pretty decent chance of taking this. Because if you look at it, Slice just has the Manamune, not fully charged, Serrated Turk, just goes for the Dustblade. Okay, that's pretty big. Dustblade is pretty big for this upcoming fight, so PDG, they have to be wary not to get caught out, especially since they're on blue side taking Drake.
Yeah.
They might have, so they're second guessing, or not second guessing, they're respecting Oblation Esports' potential to contest this Drake. And they're not going in too recklessly here. But this is kind of a divided line. That's going to be Kaito, perhaps looking for his in here with the Warrior Trickster. That's going to be Draco Caesar coming in here. Widow Shuriken to get snared. But that is enough to push them out of Hextech Drake. PDG goes pivot into the turret, and they take it.
An opportunity to put down there was, but they do get the turret in the end. So perhaps they were just trying to get the disengage, perhaps get a steal there, but they send Sunako down into mid to start off chipping away at the turret, and well, they do get the turret in the end. So the straight up objective a little bit more back control, but here comes the Frozen 2 spot, and now Kaito going in for the rescue. The Cyclone goes massive, gets up 2 knockups. Draco goes there for the response. Iteration goes down. The double kill comes through, and here comes Kaito running for the hill. Caesar's now down to 300 health. So is Kaito going for the comeback and shuts down that Zaya. And now it's a 2 versus 2. Low health bars for both of the red members here from UPD, and Draco Caesar doesn't have the perfect execution anymore. No more ultimate for both for all of these members for that matter. But here comes the flash into the stun, and Draco now has to run.
That was very well played. Look at the replay here. You know, the 3-man Cyclone was pretty good, but you have to love the Zaya positioning here as well. Just pivot straight to the right. Straight to the right here. Go straight for Kaito. I also love how Kaito plays this. So it's just a really good back and forth individual plays here from our teams. And it ending up very even in terms of the gold. They don't really get anything too big out of like that team fight. Both of them kind of got very wounded by the end of it, so they couldn't take anything too big. Maybe a couple jungle camps here and there. They weren't able to leave any deep vision on the side of PDG. So that was just like, as you said, this is looking to be a solid 50-50 between NEU and UPD. It's just about who can eke out the small advantages left, and that's going to be Sunako.
Sunako doesn't have that ulti, so doesn't have that liberty of running away from that fight unscathed. He will fall down. It opens up the possibility of Baron, but I don't think they have enough damage as of yet, especially with the Duskblade build on Slice, so perhaps not.
Yeah, too risky. Even with Sunako's death timer is like 20 seconds. With the way that OBE's comp is right now, they won't really have the damage to finish it off before Sunako has a chance to reach the tail end, right, of that fight. So they do back off, satisfied with giving off a kill onto Draco Caesar to OBE once again. 5-0-1, definitely a key player right now for Oblation Esports. Looking for a target is the name of the game here. Meanwhile, by starting.
Looks like they have found him, but is that the best target though? Iteration secure that kill onto Slice, and Arcs now in a 1 versus 3 in a very tough spot. Cyclone here for the rescue, but there's just not enough going here. Oh my god, everyone's so tanky. Kaito doesn't have that escape tool anymore, doesn't have the flash. And that's actually a 3-0. NEU walk off without any damage done to them, but hold that. Here comes Caesar, perhaps looking for that execute onto Iteration. Doesn't want to risk it, and now, well, it's a 3-0. They're starting the Baron up.
Yeah, and it does seem like it's gonna be very tough here. This is Draco Caesar's moment. If he's gonna get something big here, it has to be here in this Baron. Adoration's almost out of body here, so not taking so much damage.
Not ready anymore. There you go! Gets that double into the triple kill. Actually secures all of them. We were going to have to go massive, and Daniel, he stepped up to the plate, and now he's looking for the Penta. Running for the hills. Dark Binding's going to connect, and that's gonna buy him a little bit more time. But the ace is going to surely follow after. UPD, they denied the Penta from their teammate, but Caesar was absolutely massive in that 1v4.
I told you, if there was a moment for Draco Caesar to get it, it was there. And I was thinking, there is one way this goes hella wrong, and that is if the Feather Storm is on point from Sunako, right? But there, the burst was already done. Like, by the time the Feather Storm came out, the burst was already done, right? So Draco Caesar already got the damage out, just needed for the iframes to finish. Cleans up, triumph moment, and then Draco Caesar just finishes it off with a Quadra. That's huge. Denies Baron, even more gold was such a high priority team member of Oblation Esports. This is looking good for Oblation, at least for the next few minutes. It's up to them to really capitalize on the 4K gold lead with all of that concentrated on their Akali. Next Drake coming up, this will give them Soul Point, and that is huge for pressure in the Drake after.
Draco Caesar just quietly farming up from the background. Just came up huge actually, because remember, he wasn't having the best of laning phases against Iteration, as what you'd expect against
Not dying, but not really dominating either, right? Kind of lukewarm of a lane, very stalematy. But he found the opportunity, like a real ninja, right? Like a real shinobi. He found the opportunity to get the best value for his mission, and
Seemingly.
here. Nice pressure here from Oblation. Secures their third Drake without letting PDG get a Baron angle. Looks like Oblation is finding their groove here. Let's see how PDG responds to it. They do have great potential here coming in for a team fighting comp, like we said earlier during draft.
And more importantly than that gold shift towards the Akali, I feel like that's a massive mental boost here for UPD, because for the most part the game has been pretty much the same as the state of the lane for Draco. It's been pretty lukewarm for them. It's so dead even that single play, that massive play from Draco Caesar might have just shifted their confidence to an all-time high, because look, now coming in from a completely even gold fight, it's almost a 5k gold lead now and Oblation, as you mentioned, they're fighting for this soul point, and they could even contest this Baron right now. Perhaps they could even go for a bait here, because we know that PDG, they want this Baron, which is why they were put in that 1v4 spot where Draco just popped off. And if UPD, if they threaten this Baron, it's almost a certainty that NEU are going to bite the bait.
Like it's just going to be luring a Tiger with a J gem here for Oblation Esports. Maybe they can make something happen here, and even if PDG doesn't respond, they get the Baron. If they go in too early, you know for sure Draco Caesar is either going to be pushing heavily the bot side with the teleport up, or already going for a kill angle on Sunaho very, very early, right? So Oblation kind of choking out PDG here, but PDG, like I said, they just need that great team fight, but it's going to be immediately goes for the kill here. Goodbye, mid laner. Rocco right around the corner. They're going for the angle on him right now, cutting off his escape. Baeng, okay, the flash is going to save him, but I think that's definitely going to be the Baron angle here for Oblation.
Going down right there. Just wasn't even able to use a single ability. Able to flash even. And here we go. We were questioning it earlier whether they had enough damage. Pretty sure they do now. Look at the damage on Speckles off a single Q. Racco 2 down to about 30% health, and Draco's gonna just secure one of those kills. Racco running for the hills now. Draco on the hunt, but Speckles Dark Binding didn't really, rather the Black Shield didn't really help him. And now Barrett again getting threatened here by UPD.
Does seem like they'll be getting this uncontested as well. Rocco, oh no. Oh, Caesar just walks away. He knows the tower can finish it off. Ark's a little bit too close to comfort here, courting death. But Oblation, they're gonna get this Baron basically on top of all those kills that he got earlier. They have a very good position going into this game, approaching 30 minutes with this Baron buff. They got a lot of, they just need to focus on, do a pincer on pushing in mid lane and bot lane at the same time. They can consolidate their forces once the waves crash onto the tower. After that, maybe they can go for a really quick dive here with Baeng and Kaito. That's going to be devastating. Absolutely devastating if they can pull it out. PDG though, they do thrive in defensive positions, entrenched positions like this with the Featherstorm and the Frozen Tomb. But they're going to have to really execute it and find their targets, because Draco Caesar will not make it easy for them to mount that defense.
Look at the levels too. Look at the gold. Level 17 on Draco Caesar. No one even comes close to him. Nobody else is level 16 even. Now he's max level. And nobody still is level 16 on either side of these teams here. 11-0-2. 700 gold bounty on Draco Caesar. Such a massive performance from him already, and the game is still going to continue in their favor. And we talked a lot about how this this composition from UPD is so based on momentum, and I think it's safe to say that they have it now.
Yeah, they've definitely found their groove going into this game, and at this point, the problem with, like, we've had this like Swiss Army Knife versus Hammer discussion earlier, where at this point Oblation Esports is far ahead enough that they don't have to fully commit to that concept, where they're ahead enough where they don't have to apply full force to get the Hammer's job done. So Draco Meteor can actually look for another angle here if he wants to. Here might be the Aatrox coming in, teleport coming
the
through.
1 versus 1. Both teleports coming in from both top laners.
Soul is at stake here for Oblation. PDG needs to deny this, because Hextech Soul in this comp from Oblation, that is gonna be absolutely destructive. They have to go for Soul and start the fight.
Cyclone comes in for the response, and they're going into the back line, but there's just not enough tankiness in the world to weather the storm. That is Draco Caesar. Now Speckles running for the hills. Sumako, the only one in a bit of a tough spot. Recalls those blades, but not really finding anything as the teleports come in. They're looking for the end right now. UPD, such a stellar performance. Last two members standing for NEU, but can they hold on? I don't think so here, Hyron, because Slice and Draco Caesar just slicing the base open, and Kaito gonna be called upon here on the bottom side. Oh, the Shuriken connects too. There goes the Frozen Tomb. He goes golden, and that was signal the demise for himself, but it's Scorched to open up his own life for his teammates. His skill HP come true for Splice. That's the last of the turrets that's defending up this Nexus. What can you do here, Rocco? It seems like not a lot as UPD secure that win against NEU.
Well then. That is an absolutely stunning performance here from Oblation Esports. Really living up to the hype that our chat, that our Oblation Esports org members have been putting in the chat as well. And man, well beyond my expectations. I expected a closer fight, but at the end, it was like Oblation Esports was fine with a stalemate, like the relatively even game, because they knew that at some point they could crack this game wide open, and that's how the hammer is, right? You just keep hammering, it may not seem like you're making any headway, then boogsh, the wall is broken down, right? Suddenly the wall jumps crashing down, and this play from Draco Caesar, this could have gone so badly. But the thing is, the risks weren't even there. Like, for such a... Actually, PDG was the one more at risk there. Like, if Draco Caesar dies there, he at least deals enough damage to maybe cancel the Baron.
Yeah,
if the Baron still goes through, Oblation Esports still has an angle where they can win. So PDG was actually the one taking bigger risks there, going for the Baron with Akali on the loose.
Yeah, gotta give credit where credit is due though. NEU, I mean, we talked a lot about how Oblation has to be explosive this game to make the most out of their composition, right? And for the most part, NEU was keeping them at bay until Draco came out and just started swinging left, right, and center. And at that point, NEU didn't really have a response to that raging Akali that just snowballed from there on out, quite literally, for Oblation Esports. That, well, their composition wasn't just ready for that storm that was brewing, that is Draco. And it was nearly the perfect game. I believe there was no deaths for that Akali.
And he courted death a lot of times almost, and just surviving with the triumph. Also, last few remarks before we cut to break, I do have to give credit to Sunako as well. The positioning on the Xayah in many of the team fights was very good, very, very close. Could have gotten them the wins there. And Kaito is one of those members of the OB roster that has some history as well, right? Like, and getting into this playoffs performance, he did well. He definitely did well, adapt well his champion pool. So I'm really happy with the Oblation Esports performance. And Paradigm Verendus, they're going to get sent down to the lower bracket, so they have another chance to get back at Oblation in the future, in the following weeks to come. But of course, all of that is just going to come in the next few weeks. We have one more broadcasted game for you guys, so just wait for that. I believe it's going to be Pylon Ypsilos versus Teletigers Haze. We have been your shoutcasters, and we will be your shoutcasters for later. I'm Hyron. With me is Datum.
This is Filippo.
This is Jessica.
Parehong freshies, parehong gamers. Gusto ni Filippo maging next big caster.
Si Jessica naman wants to make the biggest esports tournament in their campus.
But they don't know where to start.
They're also from different campuses
in different parts of the Philippines.
They would have never met. If not
for AcadArena.
In AcadArena, we help students meet, collaborate, and learn all the hype and wonder ng gaming at esports.
Dito, naging caster si Filippo, even just for that afternoon. He met students with the same dream, attended our workshop, and we funded a tournament where they can debut.
That was Jessica's tournament. Inorganize niya ito with a student club in her campus na ginabayan namin all the way. And that's how they met. That's what we do here in AcadArena.
We turn gamers into leaders, Casters, breadwinners. AcadArena. It's not just play.
Come on, let's cook! Today, magluluto tayo ng pork sinigang. Ano yung sinigang? Sinigang comes from the verb sigang, which is to stew, right, gang? We already have the ingredients. We have the chili, yung meat, yung radish, yung string beans, yung onions, yung kangkong, yung sampalok original mix, AcadArena, branded, yung kamatis, and our main container, the water, with the pot. Now, as far as you know, sinigang is one of the oldest dishes in the Philippines. Of course, other countries have other sour dishes, bala sila, but ours is the best, obviously, di ba? Masarap, kaya pumupunta yung mga foreigners dito kumakain ng sinigang, and sinigang only because we're the best, bro. We got a sinigang! Sinigang! Whoa, okay. This is actually a cool environment. It looks like Putahin ng Ina Mo by Chicon Club. Oh. Anyways, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Let's first start with onion, sibuyas. Yeah, you see this? Yeah, we're gonna add this to our pot. Like Scoop. What are we gonna do about it, man? We're gonna rook it. Rook it till we rook it. The next one is tomato. Sorry. Let's add this in. Good. And we're gonna add the belly cubes. Right, Scoob? Yeah! Whatever. Meat. Alright, we're adding this to the mix. Oops. Oh, too many. Oops.
Welcome back, everyone, ladies, gentlemen, and of course our gender fluid friends. We are back with the Alliance games featuring League of Legends, co-presented by Globe and powered by LogitechG. We just finished our first two games, explosive games, in fact. We just got off with a UPD Oblation Esports win versus NEU, and now we're going to be up with the lower bracket best of ones, or best of one, Pylon Ypsilos from Polytechnic University of the Philippines versus Teletigers Haze from University of Santo Tomas, of course, from the Teletigers Esports Club. And this is going to be an exciting match. We'll be your shoutcasters. I'm Hyron. With me is Datum. And this is going to be a very exciting match indeed, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a banger day already with the matches we've seen so far. And the first one being, the first matchup being GHX Monstrum Prodigium versus MGS Mages. A bit of a doozy, but I'm actually quite surprised because we're seeing Teletigers here in the lower bracket run because of one of those teams in the earlier matchup. That's MVP. And, well, it's a bit of a pickle that we find ourselves in here, but against Pylon Ypsilos, a team that is a force to be reckoned with in their own right. Both teams here are primed and ready to secure their playoffs advancement. But what do you think here, Hyron? What do you think has the upper hand between these two teams?
I know a lot of the other casters, I know a lot of our fans here on chat as well think or believe that have a lot of faith rather in the UST roster here. They have a lot of heavy names here. I believe that TGR Crimson is like challenger at the top rungs of challenger. Last time I checked, it was like top 11. He could have gotten higher or lower since then, but thereabouts, the highest, the cream of the crop of Philippine solo duo, solo queue. And they have Tenebria, they still have Vegas as well, with a couple new talents. Meanwhile, on the side of PUP, Pylon Ypsilos, they have a lot of familiar names as well. Like, I know that VLC is I Prefer Winter from NCO Season 3. I believe that Corks is Rian from the previous season. And I believe that XD is Sinted from the previous season. So, the reason why I predicted PUP Ypsilos is that I believe more in like a history, like a team that has cohesion, that has experience together. But of course, there's no doubt that TGR is going to put up a very, very strong fight.
Look at the boys right there showing
Mhm.
up on camera. On the left, we have Pylon Ypsilos, and on the right, we got Teletigers Haze as the bands coming up here for both teams. Respect band coming in here for the Vladimir,
Mhm.
and the Zeri in response from Teletigers Haze. And well, actually, for me here, Hiron, you pointed out that you predicted Pylon is going to win this best of one because of the cohesion that they have, but I would argue that Teletigers Haze, they are just as cohesive as Pylon
Yeah.
Ypsilos. I mean, they are without a doubt mechanically very, very gifted players, and it's sort of like a tale of the day, right? It's um pretty evenly matched up if you really consider it, because the raw talent of all these players are just above and beyond, like through the roof.
Definitely. And Teletigers is an org that really, really polishes their talents, right? We have seen this in their championship winning rosters back then. It's just the environment of the org, right? Like, it's not just about how strong your roster is, but how your roster, when they graduate or when they leave for other careers, how much do they leave behind for the next generation, right? And the previous rosters of Teletigers that Tenebria was part of, that Vegas was part of, they were part of that. They have new talents as well. They have Crimson in the lineup now, so there's no doubt they are to be reckoned with. They're a force to be reckoned with, but uh, maybe it's the contrarian in me. Everyone voted TGR, so I'm like, I'm a hipster. I'll vote PUP. But I do think with this very solid, everyone in PUP Ypsilos is very, very solid on their own, and together, they are they're greater than the sum of its parts, pretty much. And with the Gwen immediate first pick here, meanwhile, Teletigers Haze going for a wombo combo with the Jarvan Lulu already denying the Nautilus as well. It's pretty good draft so far from both of our teams.
Yeah. From what I remember about Pylon Ypsilos, they're a team that is very fundamentally gifted in in every sense of that word here or every sense of that statement here in League of Legends. It did go up against LG Hydra, if I remember correctly, in NCO season 3, and was unable to proceed because of that fact. But now they're looking to make a better run here against Teletigers Haze. And for the most part, I'm liking their composition so far. Ezreal, a pretty good bottom laner, can easily build a scaling comp around him. The Karma to back him up in the support side, not really something that we are seeing a lot of anymore.
Not too much, yeah.
But still a pretty decent pick in my opinion.
It did. No, actually, yeah, it's not as much as Senna and Renata and Nautilus, but Karma is still definitely up there in terms of the support side. Usually we see Karma with these heavy poke lanes that really dominate the lane with just their survivability, their ability to just escape and get out of dodge, right? These are why you pick Karma. Meanwhile, it's going to be the Jinx Lulu here. Absolutely terrifying. It's going to be monstrous. When it does reach late game, the Enchanter plus the Jinx is just going to take over, and they do have the Jarvan to kind of shore them up until that point, right? And even then, Jinx early game isn't really a slouch. Like, once Drake fight happens, you get one kill, you can start snowballing from there. The Zac to really deny and these long range engages for PUP Ypsilos. We're gonna have to see how they craft the rest of their comp here. I like the Victor ban to really reduce the the synergy with the J4. It's gonna have to be solid bans here on the mid lane. Respect against Crimson here for Pylon Ypsilos.
I'm actually quite surprised that neither of these teams prioritized the Viego pickup, with the Wukong being banned away. It seems like a dead giveaway that Viego will be given priority to, but instead, Insignis going for that Jarvan instead. Still a pretty good pick. Counters. Typically you see Jarvan as a standard counter pick to the Olaf,
Mm-hmm.
which is for the most part pretty good right now in the meta too. Perhaps that is a preemptive pick that they are fighting against here. Gangplank getting picked up, yeah. So pretty standard so far, pretty scary bot lane, and I'm really liking this so far for Teletigers Haze. I wonder what Ypsilos is going to be rounding up theirs with.
I don't think it's in XD's style to like flex the karma. With the jungle Xinjiao here, that's actually very interesting. Could just knock away, could just try and turn the Thunderdome of the Jarvan against him. Where, okay, you're trapped here with me. It's just you and me, buddy. It's just you and me. Jinx can't hit us here. The Gangplank can't shoot us here. It's just you and me. That's the possibility. And with Akali being put up here, this gives them a very solid ball of damage and hit points, right? They have Akali, Gwen, and Xinjiao just charging up, skipping the front line to get to either Bit or to Tenebria. That is a possibility here. Meanwhile, Teletigers Haze is all about setting up the team fights for them with the Cataclysm, with the Cannon Barrage. Cannon Barrage is going to be crucial here in setting up for Teletigers Haze. Let's see how they round up the comp. If it's going to be the Anivia, this is pretty spicy, minty, if you will. It's pretty minty, not spicy, because this synergizes so well with the rest.
Yeah. When was the last time we saw an
Anivia? Probably in the hands of like the LSU Asian baby boys in NCO. That's probably the last time.
So, yeah. I mean, Anivia is Anivia. Well, for the most part here, Teletigers Haze seems like they have a pretty defined sort of plan here. They have Gangplank, pretty strong top laner, into the Jarvan for that pick off and team fighting prowess, and of course Jinx. Little bit of a hit on Jinx quite recently, but in proper hands and with
Should still be fine.
Proper care, yeah, I would say still a pretty fine pick.
With Zeri being banned out, I don't think this is really. They definitely didn't want Kalista since they drafted the Lulu. Ezreal was already taken. Tenebria. Actually, I really don't like Aphelios here. I would rather go Jinx. Definitely, just for the snowball potential. You get an early kill. You cut someone off with a wall or the Cataclysm. You get the kill with just the sheer damage of the Gangplank and the small burst that the Jarvan does. You get the reset for Tenebria and just takes over the team fight from there. Once he gets like 3 items, that's definitely possible. Teletigers Haze, despite me predicting PUP Ypsilos, I do think that Teletigers Haze has the better draft here just because it's not just a comp, right? It's a thematic comp. It's a thematic comp. What's the theme? It's all about control. You control the territory. You control the terrain with Cataclysm. You control where they can enter, where they can't with the wall. And then where they can go, you're putting barrels there. You're threatening their only pathways with barrels, with Jinx traps. So it's a very threatening theme here from Teletigers Haze and Pylon Ypsilos. They have very strong picks individually. And the cohesion is there. I get the idea, but it's just it's a ball of power, right? It's just one ball of powerful picks smashed together, and that's valid. That's definitely worked. And let's see how they execute this. I'm very, very excited to see how this game goes.
Yeah, very stark difference here between the two compositions that we're seeing right now. Pylon Ypsilos are leaning more towards sort of that pick potential and not really fully on committing to these 5v5 fights. Of course, we have such a strong poking comp coupled with such strong 1v1 champions, and when you combine those together, you get a team that doesn't really want to commit to these full-on front to backs that Teletigers Haze are looking so hard for. That's their type of composition. They want to get those AoEs going. They got the Gangplank, they got the Anivia, and they got the Jinx on top of that Cataclysm for Jarvan. So they have a pretty defined plan on how they want to execute these team fights for Teletigers Haze, but Pylon Ypsilos really have a lot of tools to disengage and just deter Teletigers Haze from doing said plan. So really, it's a very big difference between the type of play style that these two teams would love to go for, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I can't wait to see how both of them are just going to execute it. But before we continue talking about this matchup, a quick reminder to everyone watching at home that we have giveaways ongoing right now. Just type just in Twitter, just tweet anytime using the hashtag AllG, and you know what, you might get lucky to get spotlighted here. Sometimes we do show them under there somewhere. I saw a couple of tweets a while ago, so maybe you might get highlighted, or maybe you will win 300 pesos worth of RP.
That definitely. We also have, of course, the Conquest 2022. We do have the weekend pass giveaway as well. Just share the stream, and you will be able to get a chance to win one of those weekend passes, which will get you entrance for both days of Conquest if you're lucky. And of course, AcadArena recently launched is aside from the Conquest stuff, aside from the competitive stuff, AcadArena also recently launched its newest cycle of scholarships that are open to all student gamers. If you have siblings, cousins, or friends who are in senior high school and college, they can apply for one of our scholarship grants. Simply visit acadarena.com/scholarships and get the chance to be a #AcadArena scholar. It's definitely one of the opportunities that AcadArena brings, and is one of those things that are helping integrate the two, right? Like we're trying to balance both the esports side of things with the acad side of side of things, right? So that is one of those manifestations, and yeah, so it's not just players, it's not just like coaches, it's not just the it's not just these people playing on stage, so to speak, that are able to reap the benefits of such a community, but you guys too within the community can get avail of that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to find out more about the Alliance games, and if you want latest updates on your favorite #AllG teams, schedules, articles, and stats, and just go on to the official website of the Alliance games and AcadArena. That is at acadarena.com/alliance-games. That's all. That's without spaces, of course. It's a website, acadarena.com/alliance-games. And again, if you want to win a free 300 in-game credit, in this game RP, tweet about your favorite team and use the #AllG, and we will select the winners and we'll announce them later on.
I think we're going to be loading into the game very, very soon here. Once again, very excited because of Teletigers comp here. Like I said, it's very thematic. They have not just a general game plan like a comp usually does, but they have something very, very specific that they're going for. And meanwhile, Pylon, they have a lot of strong picks on their side. They have a dominating bot lane with Karma Ezreal. They have the possibility of a snowball with XD and Corks. Of course, Gwen is Gwen.
Yeah, exactly. Gwen is Gwen. No cheese strats coming out so far. Contrast to what we saw a little bit earlier. Of course, didn't really full on commit to it, but now I wonder what PUP's plan is to get ahead early on, because uh you would think, right, in at a moment's glance, if you look at their compositions quickly, TGR, the longer the game goes on, they have pretty much all the scaling options that they need. They have Anivia, they have a Jinx, and they have a Gangplank too for just for good measure. So I wonder what PUP's plan is going to be to get ahead early on, because remember, they want to go for these fights without really fully committing onto them. So that signals to me that they want to go for these they want to capitalize on their pick potential. Question is how they're going to do that so early on here. And really, I'm taking a look at the jungle pathing for both of these junglers, because contrast to something like a Viego and a Wukong, Xin Zhao and the Jarvan, real good game.
Definitely. I do think that it really hinges on mid lane, right? Crimson, if you get Crimson behind, you're hitting two birds with one stone, right? You deny one of their star players an accelerated game. You are able to get XD some extra kills on his side. And also, it's just an easier, I think out of all of these, it's the easiest one to gank. Because Crimson, once a flash is burned, there's really nothing to really mitigate the gank aside from the egg, and unless he gets killed under tower with the egg up, the egg's not really going to be saving him unless Ignis goes for a counter gank. The other alternative is Bit, because you can't really orange the knockup from 3 Talon Strike from Corks, but other than that, it's going to be still very, very difficult to get that kill early. They do have Ignite and VLC though.
Yeah. And so far, it's just the poke bottom lane from Rubiker and whoop.
Yeah, I said that last season too. Like whoop.
That is just doing their work there on the damage side of things for the bottom side. So again, everything panning out pretty much as we expected to. But it seems like Insignia's looking to alleviate some of that pressure on the bottom side. Might just be looking for a gank here with a deep ward pushed up down in the Tri-Bush XD. Okay, down to half health now. And I wonder, here's the question for me, where is Quarks going to strike first? Because in these early stages, XD really isn't going to have a good time here. Quarks, what do we win here, Iron?
It's just going to be trades. I don't think Bit is going to hard commit to a fight like this because he still has his own lane to worry about, right? Can't really risk. Even with the TP, you can't really risk committing too much. It does still leave Corks with a little bit of a bruise right there, but in the end he still is able to get the Krugs in exchange. Teletigers get some vision on the bot side here, on the red side jungle of Corks here, so the next time he stops by his red buff, they're gonna have a little bit of info on that regard.
Here we go though, wonder, what is the proper way to actually sing?
No, I never found out since last season.
So he's still saying what
I kept asking, no one was telling me. But it's gonna be a fight here. Tenebria is gonna have to back off here. Just barely enough. 1 HP almost on Tenebria's side. Steel burned. Rubiker meanwhile still has his own heal, has his own flash. Dizzy's exhaust was not burned there though. Didn't need to. But this does put them on the back foot. It's not like Tenebria can back off here, right? Because he's gonna be like 2 levels behind when he comes back.
Down to
He has to just take the L and farm under tower. He's doing a good job though of equalizing the trades.
Very safely behind the turret. Oh, stun comes through actually down in the middle side of things. But it's quite curious that really none of these players want to risk it at all. First break already up. Bit versus VLC. Here is a matchup that is a bit of a thinker for me because both of these champions are pretty good when it comes to 1v1s. But let me ask you this, Hiron, which do you think will be favored generally towards later on? Because I would think Gangplank, right?
Yeah, definitely Gangplank, but Gwen, even with the nerfs, can do a lot of degen stuff. Like if Pylon is able to pull off some egregiously degen stuff with the Hollowed Mist, they're gonna be able to pull out ahead. But if it's just sheer firepower, then of course once Bit gets like 4 items, the power is gonna be there. You can get like a 4-man barrel, and that could end the game right then and there, or at least secure you a Drake.
One of the powers of a Gangplank in this current meta. Okay, first Drake, still no one prioritizing it so far. I believe the Herald hasn't spawned as of yet, so no real objectives to contest for apart from that Mountain Drake, and it seems like both of them will shy away from it so far. But let's take a look at Quarks, who has been providing so much pressure down on the top side, have been putting so much priority on that red side. If he actually gets that same big core that we saw in that last game, that could provide a lot of value here for PUP, or they actually go for a bit of a fight here with Insignis. He does have the ult availability now, so that's a little bit of a risky spot here for Insignis to be in. The ping's coming in.
Insignia does know that Corks has been there recently. Because of the Scrying Orb, they were able to suss out that the Krugs were gone. That's you saw the question mark thing around the Krugs area, so he knows that he's around the area, and now Corks, he knows he's level 6, he has the advantage here. The red buff is out of vision here. Almost missed the smite there for Corks, but Fog of War helped him out there. So he's really, because I think Quartz realizes, okay, I can't really get ganks. Crimson still has his flash. Bit is kind of annoying to gank anyway, and Tenebria, I don't want to go for for tower dives because Rubiker is constantly pushing in. Tower dives and like durability patch are like, it's like courting death at that point. But so he just uses his superior rotation, superior clear speed here to go for counter junglers, which is kind of paying off. But Insignis is kind of taking the hint here and realizing, okay, I need to get some counter jungling of my own here since I'm not getting any ganks out.
Now they're putting a lot of priority on that bottom side. Insignis didn't really go for that counter. I mean, things coming in, they spot out Quirks now, so that's a bit of information coming in for TGR this time. And again, we go back to that state of the game where nobody really is want to fully engage into these fights. Rift Herald coming up now. Ocean Drake, or rather, Mountain Drake getting started up sneakily by Quartz. They don't have any info that they're actually starting this, and Insignis slowly moving up. This might start here. Oh no, actually, they don't snip it at all. Quartz might just be able to secure it. Like, very, very.
Tenebria is too low. They basically, the moment that Tenebria got that low, then that's basically the call to go for Drake straight up. No kills, no nothing, just by the book pressure. You know, you just set it up so your opponent can't do anything about it. Like, no need for a Drake fight. We just need to make sure that TGR can't do anything about it. Even if we don't get a kill, Pylon Esports makes the call and says, this is fine. Whether TGR is fine with this, they're probably fine. Their team comp is something that is chill with a 0 kill 10 minutes game, right? Because they have 3 high scaling champions that are just chill having an early game that they may not be ahead, but they are able to survive, farm up. They should be happy enough with that one. Meanwhile, Pylon, though, they have to be worrying about when they're going to be able to get some clear advantages, and Rift Herald might be the key to that door.
Yeah, exactly. Pick up the first Drake, and now they're looking to secure the Rift Herald. And like that you pointed out that they have the triples insurance on the late game, right? Because as long as Tenebria doesn't die on the bot lane, which is basically the only losing lane right now for TGR. Can you even say that it's a losing lane? Tenebria's got 7 more CS than Rubiker. That's an entire wave here of gold. And as long as Tenebria doesn't get shut down, doesn't go behind, Tenebria's all set, because really towards the later stages, if you compare the damage levels of an Ezreal and a Jinx, it's
night and day.
Not even close. And as long as they're playing back and not dying, well, Tenebria's pretty happy about it.
But you can think of it as Rubiker trades 1 wave, essentially, for Drake, and I think that's very worth it for Pylon. And at this point, it's already been equalized because of how much they've been pressuring Tenebria and keeping him away from his CS. At that point, it's really all about the details here. They are looking for something here. Like Crimson and Insignis are right around the corner. XD's hunting, looking for an opening as well. It's just both of these teams, it may look like nothing's happening, but it's really just both of these teams creeping up, realizing, okay, this is not the time, and then backing off. It's really this battle of wits and commitment, right? Who is going to pull the trigger first, and is he going to aim? It's like a duel. It's like a cowboy duel. You're just waiting for the tension to snap, and that's when everything hits the fan, right?
Who is going to pull that gun out first? Who is going to be able to respond quicker? That is the question. But the fact of the matter is, PUP, they've already secured the Rift Herald, already secured the first Drake, just waiting on where they're going to commit that. It seems like bottom side is the answer.
Nothing too much, just a couple trades. Tenebria is running out of mana, which means less rockets in the long run of this lane, which once again seems to coincide with what Pylon wants to do with his bot lane. The next time Drake comes up, if the lane continues exactly like this, then they should be able to secure next Drake. Oh, XD coming in as well, goes into the Shroud, looking for something on Crimson, gets the Icicle straight to the heart. Bonus damage not there, but Crimson knows that he has the egg, and the egg might buy enough time for him to back off. Of course, standing on top of a ward the whole time. Really well, Insignis waiting in the wings here. He's gonna run into that Jarvan. I don't think that's going to start the fight though, because TGR's bottom is not in position to respond. He's taking a lot of damage here, lots of poke, has to burn both from ulti and the heal. Here comes True Shot Barrage. Wow, durability patch movement right there. As Tenebria lives with like another sliver of HP. This gives Pylon the cue to go for bot lane turret. And this is the opening that they needed.
Yeah, exactly. Do everything in the kitchen sink at Tenebria. And lo and behold, the Jinx survives. But now though, mid-side, Shuriken connects.
He doesn't... Oh, he's not gonna even burn the egg. Oh no! Has to burn the perfect execution.
Yeah, that's so awkward for a second there, but the rocket! Oh, from downtown. So Tenebria gets a taste of revenge. Gets like the top side does slip step, making it work. And Bit is down to 1 health.
Yeah, unable to get through a full kill here. Bit does have his teleport. 30 minutes gangplank. Teleport isn't really super impactful, so he can just clear the wave here, go for the back, and go for the reset with the teleport easily. I highly doubt this teleport on this gangplank is going to be super impactful unless Pylon really misplays on the Drake side.
Yeah. Speaking of Jake though, it's about to spawn up now, and Tigers Haze is really sending up a lot of their members. Prioritize that area. They don't really have a lot of vision here apart from a couple of wards. No pinks for anyone's side here into the pit, but they're setting it up already. It's an ocean pick. Makes me wonder if PUP are actually going to contest this, and they're not really committing to it as Tigers secured with quite ease.
Yeah, not really worth it for them to go for the full contest on the Ocean Break. Ocean Break effect kind of less good in the durability patch as well. It's just like missing HP, right? I tried to do some math on the missing HP and realized this is dumb. Like, okay, if I start at a 300 out of 1500 HP, how much do I get from first tick? And accounting for natural HP regen.
Oh my god.
How much do I get on the second tick? And I was like, this is not it. This is not what I should be spending my brain power on.
It's too much math for my brain at least. But now, quick reset for both of our teams. UST Teletigers Haze and
we see Insignis. He thinks there might be something around the corner, and he would be correct here. So of course it comes in. Here comes the slow flashes over with a 3-talent strike. That's gonna be the wild growth to come through, but Insignis is isolated with the crescent strike. The counter barrage comes in a little too late. That is going to be another kill here for Pylon to kind of match the first blood that Tenebria got. Meanwhile, Bit kind of sad, doesn't have his cannon barrage for the next few minutes. And that means that's one less free assist tool when there's a kill on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it's a constant guessing game between Corks and Insignis, right? And Corks seems to always guess it right. He knows exactly where Insignis is going to be. He doesn't really have any vision in that deep area where the red buff is going to spawn up from Insignis, but he knows that Insignis is going to come up here, and I'm going to hide in this bush and wait until it's the last second to strike. That he does, gets the kill, gets the red buff too, and not really getting punished off of it either is a pretty good job, to say the least. I mean, Corks has been struggling to find this pressure around the map because the state of the lanes doesn't necessarily permit him to, and so does the champion pool of the enemy. So what does he do? He buggers on Insignis instead, gets the kill, and now he's got priority on the Rift Herald, which he's going to secure without really any contest here. So that's the second Rift Herald in a row for PUP.
Yeah, and that's really the experience that Cork has from the previous seasons of AcadArena, where he realizes, okay, I don't need to go for sure ganks and big kills to get what my team needs, because that's what he's been doing. It's more of a Wu Wei situation where he doesn't need to force anything. He just needs to make sure his lanes, when his lanes have priority, he takes Krugs, he takes camps, he harasses Insignis, but doesn't force anything too much unless he knows that it would be effortless to get something from it. So, right now though, still 2 kills at 17 minutes. Feeling like an LCK game right now.
Exactly what I had in mind. At least there's kills on the board. We're going somewhere, I think. But Corks, of course, here we go. We're looking for a dive.
Bit is going to come through. Does have a lot of tools. The turrets are going to hurt. Feel bad. The teleport comes through. Crimson is here to rescue. That's going to be not really a successful gank, but it does burn. It does burn the Herald here for TGR, and it does also burn the teleport coming in from Crimson. And I think they're satisfied with that. Once again, they're not here to force anything. They're just, okay, poke at TGR, see how they respond. And if it's something we can take advantage of, let's go for it. But if not, let's get what we can and then peace out. Oh, Crimson coming in with a wind becomes lightning as well. Two-shot barrage. Flash is coming through with not able to finish off the kill there for his team. That is going to be flash burn though for Crimson. So that's two big summoners down for this Anivia, and he's going to be a lot easier to lock down in the next fight. But still 0 deaths, still has the egg. He's I think he's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of pressure being mounted on here onto the Teletigers Haze because of the read essentially that Cortex has been having on Insignius for entirety of this early game. Both Rift Heralds being secured by Pylon means that they be almost certainly get securing that first two turrets, but a little bit of a questionable call there on the top side earlier, going for the dive because there weren't really any minions left. I mean, it was a bit of a missed time for Corks to activate the Rift Herald spawn, but it was 4 versus 1. Yes, I like the idea. There were no minions. There's not really anything. There's not really much you can do there. But now both teams looking for a bit of a fight here for the next
teleport
Drake.
Coming through. Yeah, Hex Drake is a pretty valuable Drake here. They are bottlenecked into this entrance of the jungle. Two-shot barrage is going to come out here. Pylon is going to establish dominance over this Drake. Barrels coming through, not hitting anyone. Here comes Bit coming in though onto 2. Seems he can't escape, has to go for it. But in comes XD, goes into 4. He's going to get knocked around, but gets a perfect execution. And here comes Corks. Wind becomes lightning. Egg becomes fried. And that's going to be Rubiker finishing off the kill here against Insignis. And they just pivot all the way back to the Drake.
Such a clean fight there for PUP, and they didn't lose a single member too. 4 for 1. Things just went sideways there for UST Teletigers Haze. Wasn't even able to pick up a single member, and a lot of it is because of the poke here for PUP. Look, they're all down to low health before the fight even starts, and when a bit comes in, it's a bit of a miscommunicated fight here for Teletigers Haze. It seems like they were all over the place here, and look at XZ, the execution down into the back line, 1 HP for the entirety of that fight, and didn't even fall. 5-1 now, and from a stalemate higher on, we're now down to a 4k gold lead and a double Drake 5-1 scoreline.
Yeah, that does seem to be the name of the game for the past few games, is don't force anything in the early game. It's okay if it's a stalemate, you will find your opportunity. Unless your comp is really bad, you will find that opportunity to break the stalemate on your terms. And that's where Pylon did it. In 2 parts, right? Bit kind of like blast coned into 2 people without any follow-up, kind of had to flash over. And because he was not there, XD had the opportunity to break into the Poland defenses and get that kill, despite being relatively low. So good respect there. XD showing his stuff, showing that he knows the limits of his champion. This is going to be a 4k gold lead with Hextech stacking on Pylon very, very soon. So TGR, they can't let Hextech Drake go into the hands of Pylon, because that just adds to the team fighting potential this ball of death has. So XD coming in. He's just vibing.
Yeah, I didn't want to move any forward anymore because the traps for the Jinx was right in front of him. But really, it's pretty much, in my book, an even game because of just how the compositions of TGR work. As long as they don't let the Popes 2 come in and they're the ones to start off the fights, I believe a full-on front to back here is really a 50-50 between these two teams. So UST Teletigers, if they put themselves, or if they find themselves that avenue of actually starting off the fight and perhaps getting a proper engage on Insignis, this could still be a game where they can turn around, but not if they let Rubiker just poke them around like this. Look at Insignis, couldn't even def the tower, and he's almost down to half health. Has to recall all of them.
Yeah, TGR's comp has yet to ramp up, and I have yet to see them really shine in the comp that the theme that they built for themselves. Because like I said earlier, the game plan for TGR's comp is to set up. They have the walls, they have the cataclysm, they have the jinx traps, right? All of this should be informing where the barrels are placed. It's like a stone sentinel maze. They have to make sure that pylons exits or entrances are cut off, and where they aren't cut off, there's barrels, there's a glacial storm, there's all the damage that TGR can bring out. But like I said, it takes some setup to really pull off. Yeah. And if they can't get that setup, then their comp kind of falls flat, even with the strong late game scaling of their three champions here.
Yeah, they really have to pull it together. We saw it in that last 5v5 team fight. They were all over the place, essentially. Bit went in just at the exact moment that Insignis wanted to bail out of the team fight. So he was forced to flash out earlier, which from then on, the team fight just started falling apart. The Teletigers Haze, which brings us to our current position. Now, though, they really aren't at a spot where they have to force for these fights. But if the next Drake spawns, perhaps that is a time when they should go for. And a lot of it really is going to bank into Insignis's, well, execute on that engage. Because really, if you take a look at their comp, what other options do they have in terms of starting these fights? Not a lot. Frog and drag, yes. And after that, yeah, nothing else, essentially. Unless they will be able to pick off one of these straggling members, perhaps. There's not really a lot of options for TGRs to engage apart from Insignis, and in that sense, it's sort of an all or nothing trigger, and so much pressure banking on Insignis means that if they lose Insignis, it's so hard. So it's hard.
That's why Insignis can't afford to be the one that starts the fight. It has to be pylon, but TGR, like I said, has to set it up beforehand, right? Because if Insignis goes in, guess who's happy? XD's happy, Corks is happy, and VLC is happy because they don't have the front line to match the dive, right? So they just... Here's a good spot where they can go for the kill here. They set it up, they get the immediate kill onto the 80 carry here. They're stuck in the Cataclysm. A little bit too hard here as VLC goes for all of these kills. Corks looking for a kill. What? Bit goes up and Tenebria is able to finish off these kills. In comes the Akali. Can he fight 1v4? Is it gonna come through? So many members are low. Triumph is stacking, but here Tenebria with the Get Excited was able to find those kills, and that's a triple going to this Jinx. Whoa, because Dizzy was alive for that whole fight, and Chance the Jinx takes over. Like you said, it's a minimal setup. They just had like barrels here and the wall to really cut that off and force a response. That was it.
Yeah, beautiful Crescent Guard in response here for Corks to try and nullify this damage, but he went in for the kill onto Bit, not really able to do so, and it was a pretty good Cataclysm to start off, or rather, really good flag and drag. Just as you were mentioning it, if they pull the trigger right now, it's gonna be good. And Insignis did just that, picked up Rubiker so quickly, and jumped straight into that Crescent move, which was preemptively used by Corks because he wanted to be proactive. And from there on out, it was landslide win for Tenebria, just mowing them all down. It was almost a cleanup for XD to come in, but yeah, Tenebria just was in the backline the entire time. Rubiker just wasn't there to sort of become that equal for him, and now again they're looking for something else.
Oh, here, gonna go straight for the Cataclysm right here. Corks is trapped inside. He's gonna have to sacrifice his own life, but Corks taking a lot of damage here. Bit is able to strike back. Here comes the rocket. One last, not enough with a parlay. XE goes golden here with a Jean-List. That is going to be Tenebria picking up another kill. A big shutdown here. He is really having a good time here because so much threat gets taken by the Jarvan and the Gangplank that Tenebria is just free to do the most of his work here.
Tenebria is finally online now, and make no mistake, even though the gold is right now swinging in the favor of Pylon Esports, Tenebria is just coming online. I mean, despite the fact that they are around 4,000-ish gold behind, look at the items coming in for these Jinx. The moment Tenebria goes in for the back, that's probably going to be an item and a half that he secures. So from there on out, they can just play around the Jinx, not necessarily take fights, just keep the Jinx alive for as long as humanly possible with these engages, and they should be golden. Because what tools do they have to disengage the Jinx, or perhaps dismantle it? They have the XD on the Akali, and perhaps Corks, who will be dealing with the Jarvan anyway, and the XD being a lone response to that Jinx. Is it gonna be enough with an Anivia and a Gangplank in the background? I'm not particularly sure.
It's gonna be a tough call. DGR's comp right now is basically playing Bloons Tower Defense 6.
Yeah.
Where they have the Tenebria as their main into these team fights, but he needs Bit, Insignis, and Crimson to play interference as much as possible. Like slow Pylon down as much as possible and keep Dizzy and Tenebria alive, because they're like the core of their damage right now. And meanwhile, Bit, Insignis, Crimson, all their AoE damage, all their frontline damage is just a means to an end to keep Tenebria shooting.
Let's see here, next area of interest is right around the top side. 2 Drakes each for each team, so for 5k gold lead right now for PUP isn't really reflective of the state of the game, because look at who has more control here on the map. Essentially, it's an even game if you take a look at it in that way, because both teams really struggling for mid control here. 4 members here for TGR. They really want to take this turret down to open up a lot of those avenues, and they do. That off of that single group up, they open up a lot of space down in this mid side to perhaps go for invades, perhaps secure these objectives a little bit easier. Next Drake coming up in about a minute or so. And TGR, it's getting to that point where they can take these fights. It's getting to the point where they're having these advantages. And look at well, Tenebria again. The spotlight's so on Tenebria, because 3 item power spike now, and already picked up the Cloak of Agility. So how much crit chance is that? So many, and there really isn't really a lot. There isn't a front line here for PUP to meet that Jinx. So durability patch, yes, they're durable, but against an almost 4 item Jinx, how durable can you get?
Yeah,
You don't have
there's only
to.
so much the free package can get you, and get Tenebria. He's also one of the more competitively experienced members of this roster as well, and also him being at the forefront right now says a lot about his experience. So here, them being red side actually helps them a lot when it comes to the Drake here, because if Pylon wants to take it, they're gonna have to commit into a position where TGR can cut them off with a Cataclysm and with a wall. But with some nice poking from Whitaker, it seems like they have to give it up here. They don't have any other angles. They can't risk it right there, right then. But this is going to be soul point for Pylon, and Hextech Soul is actually pretty big for either team here to be able to get the first strike in a team fight.
Tip comes in though, Hiron. And they're actually gonna get this easy execute onto Bit, so that's a massive punish there for a lot of this momentum here for Teletigers Haze being brought up. But here comes the flag and drag. Corks might be in a little bit of trouble. He's looking for the 1v1.
Oh, here comes the wall. The wall!
Deny.
I do think this is a possible Baron angle if Pylon can either start it right now, or if they can get a pick off. But it does seem like they're not going to be doing that. They don't want to risk it too hard. Because yeah, this is going to be just 20 seconds on the Gangplank Death Timer. They're just going to focus on DLC, pushing on the bot side while applying pressure on around the Baron area. It does pay off. They get the bot lane. They're still maintaining a 5k gold lead with 3 Drakes underhands, 2 of them Hextech, which is really good for this comp here. It kind of shores up the nerf to the Hollowed Mist as well, while just allowing XD and Rubiker to just put out their damage a lot faster.
Yeah, exactly. But bit of a thinker that we got here, Chiron. I wonder just how long PUP can keep this lead up. 3 Drakes and can they actually threaten this Baron up if they get a kill or two here? Again, it's the group up from Teletigers Haze going down in mid-side. I don't think they have enough damage as of yet, but look at the itemization here for Ezreal. Already got 4 items on top of the Frozen Heart and going to start building up defensively now. So I think they can start threatening it with the real estate that they have secured, and of course VLC on the sidelines just getting as much farm as he possibly could. And that's something that TGR really has to respond to soon. And at that point, they're starting to get split up here for the 4-1. And really, they have to start minimizing their losses. They're going to send one member down, that is Bit. But actually, at this point, realistically, a 1-versus-1 between Bit and VLC. VLC has got that in the bag because of just how far ahead he is. But look at the wall, those stun comes in.
Even with a Crescent Guard here, is it going to be enough? They are able to penetrate the backline here. Crimson taking a lot of damage, but in that Cataclysm, the cannon barrage, the rocket comes through. TGR able to escape with their lives, dodging. That is going to be the 2-shot barrage going wide. Pings onto Baron. Will Pylon start it? And TGR, they're looking to see if they can get something out of his. If Pylon tries to go for Baron, it does seem like they're able to deny it for now. No, it does. Okay, seems like VLC here gonna try and open it up. They are gonna be under a ward here, so Bit shows himself. This is gonna embolden PYL here. They do have the sweeper right there. Cannons are going to push through here. There's just one XD coming in. Can he finish off the kill? VLC comes in. Step onto Insignia. That's going to be the needlework. Not hitting though. Crimson with the shields still surviving. VLC, this is going to be dangerous if they get walled off. But PYL. That kills?
Oh!
That kills.
Again.
I did not expect that to kill at that HP. I suppose the Tenebria has... Oh, okay. He has a lot of AD as well. Okay. I eat at that point. So 1 kill. I don't think it's enough for the Baron angle since they're all wounded, so they have to back off. And reset, wait for the dance to start again, set up the side lanes so that they are pushing in their favor. Drake also is going to become a consideration. It's going to complicate things. Things are going to get messy if that Drake spawns before Baron is taken down.
Oh, it's getting dicey though. Both teams are getting iffy. You could tell that they really want to start taking these fights now. And really, PUP really they have to start being careful of where they position themselves in. It's the second time, I believe, that they found themselves in a pickle because of just how consistent they are and how well Crimson does, how well Crimson punishes those positions. Just a single wall is always good from him. And now, might just be receiving the short end of the stick now. The poke is so much from Rubiker, but that's about it, right? When it comes to these pokes, how much can Rubiker keep up with this poke? Because honestly, it's slowly getting mitigated now by UST Teletigers, because look at what they're doing. They're huddling up together and they're starting to look for these fights. And Rubiker, okay, poke comes in. Just Jake is going to be one heck of a concession, and XD coming in from behind.
Okay, they are keeping XD in check here, but they are in a pretty bad position behind enemy lines, essentially. Insignia looking for an in here with the Flag and Drag Cataclysm, but Pylon not letting them have it. Eventually, TGR is going to get worn down. They have to make a decision. Wall, not really going to accomplish much since he didn't commit to it with a choke point. What? Crits coming out from Tenebria from the Rockets. They just need a couple to match that poke, but they are putting themselves in a very dangerous position here. Crimson still looking for the Glacial Storm to set up. Divide and Conquer is the name of the game here for TGR. Can they maintain it while avoiding? This is the signal. This has to be. XD has to cut off here. Needs to be able to jump through. In comes Insignia. Flag it right into the Cataclysm Courts. Dealing a lot of damage here. Tenebria gets taken down. That is the key member of TGR. The Lord and his tactician goes down. And that is going to be PYL taking out the rest of TGR within a protracted fight. They come out on top with the ace and are marching down mid, not even going for the Baron. 40 seconds on the death timers. They're going to barrel through. Ezreal with a Triforce. These turrets are like butter to a hot knife.
It's so clean for Pylon. They clean it up. Just one fight is all it takes. Didn't even want to take that break. They know they could secure this game right now. And a bit of a kerfuffle there on the last game, but on the last fight rather. But here we have it. The last team who will advance further into the playoffs is Pylon Ypsilos. Unfortunately, UST Teletigers Haze, this will be the end of the road for them because this is the lower bracket, and unfortunately they won't be able to advance into the alliance games. But let's if we could take a look again at that last game, a bit of coordination, I would say, on where that Jarvan is going to be putting priority to, because the moment he jumped into the back line, he went for the Cataclysm back into Quarks, and Quarks was surprisingly tanky. They did not damage him at all, and him surviving there means that Insignis won't, and consequently meant Tenebria won't. And after Tenebria fell, there was just no damage anymore for TGR.
That's a gore drinker moment right there for Quarks.
Exactly.
He survived for so long thanks to Crescent Guard and actually the Cataclysm, the Thunderdome with the Hallowed Mist and the Crescent Guard makes it so hard to actually push any damage on these two frontliners. Unfortunately for TGR, they weren't able to set up the kind of dominating position that they wanted because, like I told you, I really like the theme. They can manipulate terrain, they can force the fight. Yeah, they can force the fight into a position where they're the ones controlling where they're going. They're walking into barrels. They're having to get into choke points because of the walls. But eventually, just from the poke from Whiff and Tenebria, the Whiff and the Ezreal, they just kind of got timed out in a sense. They got antsy. They went for a wall. That was the signal. And eventually they lost just from the solid team fighting comp that was of course from POP Pylon Ypsilos.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the bracket once more. The teams that have advanced further into the semifinals. We've got the first two, Oblation Esports and MGS Mages. And in the lower bracket, we have Pylon Ypsilos and LPU Pirate Esports, which was already played out last time. So, well, we have our teams that are going to be advancing now. I can't wait to see who is going to advance further next week. Do join us again. I believe it is July 20 or June 24th when we'll be having the next playoffs day here in the League of Legends side of all games of Alliance games. Sorry, but yeah, I believe that's it. If I haven't forgotten anything, Hiron.
Well, nothing much other than check out the information for Conquest at fb.com/conquestphl. You can also check out Globe at Home for G Fiber only $20.99. Just check out shop.globe.com.ph/broadband because we are sponsored by Globe Telecom and we are powered by Logitech as well. So check that out. So next week, yeah, that is going to be June 24. We're going to have TUP Monstrum Prodigium versus Pylon Ypsilos, Paradigm Verendus versus LPU Pirate Esports, and then the third game of that day will be whoever wins the previous two games. So we have been your shoutcasters, as Datum said, Hiron and Datum, back at you, and we're gonna get back into, well, the next week. See you guys.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.